Six Nations.
It's to the southern tip of the Emerald Isle we go at the start of this penultimate round of the TikTok Women's Six Nations. Ireland against England, live here at 2:15. England arrive in Cork as huge favourites, having cut a swathe through the opposition so far. They'll aim to make it 4 wins on the spin as they chase a 4th Grand Slam in 5 years. Mo Hunt starts for the first time since her surprise omission from the World Cup squad. Talk of a cricket score for England hasn't gone down well in the Ireland camp. Insulting is how flanker Dorothy Wall described it. After 3 defeats, this is a stern test for an Ireland side desperate to show signs of progress in their first Six Nations since the introduction of professional contracts. And I've got a couple of Uber professionals in the studio this afternoon in Maggie Alfonsi and Emily Scarrett. But let's get straight to Cork, savour the atmosphere at Musgrave Park with former Ireland centre Seni Naupu alongside our reporter Jenny Drummond.
Thanks, Sonia. Yes, we're here at Musgrave Park and the sun is trying to poke through the clouds, although we have been warned that it might rain later, so we've got our brollies at the ready. I'm delighted, though, to be joined by former Ireland Vice-Captain Seni Naupu. Seni, more than 5,000 tickets sold, the atmosphere's building. Are you looking forward to what could be a tough clash for Ireland?
Yeah, I am really looking forward to it. It's a good day to watch footy and it's wonderful to see so many, young girls and boys watching in the stands. So good family festival vibes here for today.
Certainly is. Well, we'll be bringing you all the news and updates from the sidelines. It is Ireland versus England coming up shortly.
And we'll be hearing from Sene and Jenny. That could be a tongue twister throughout the afternoon. Ireland face a stiff challenge today. This is an England team with all the momentum, having left Cardiff with another job very well done.
Little kick through, who's going to be on the end of it? It's gathered in the end by Hurd. That's amazing! Abby Dow! Oh, what a pass to breach! That is wonderful. That's try number 9. They are rampant.
Not surprised Marley Packer was a happy England captain, Emily. They've been excellent so far, but have they hit a peak yet, do you think?
Well, I think for them, they'll hope not, but they've certainly been going really well. I think average 10 tries per game in the first 3 games of a Six Nations is something to be definitely very happy about, and the way in which they've scored them as well. Not a single driving line-out try last weekend. So I think, yeah, look, they'll be looking to push on, but certainly a brilliant start for them.
Excellent. Now, look, there's an additional layer to this year's Six Nations because it's a route into a new global annual tournament which is designed to supercharge the women's game of 15s. Qualification is a bit complicated, look, so please bear with me. But it's called WXV and it begins later this year. It involves 16 teams across 3 tiers. WXV1, WXV2, yeah, look, you get the idea. Level 1 involves the top 3 sides from this year's Six Nations, plus the top 3 from the competition that features Australia, Canada, New Zealand and the USA. Level 2 involves another 6 teams, including 4th place from the Six Nations, which would be Italy as it stands. Level 3 is where you end up if you get the wooden spoon in this championship, which is Scotland as it stands. The sides finishing 5th this year will play off against Spain to determine whether they go into Level 2 or Level 3. And World Rugby actually investing nearly £6.5 million into this in the first 2 years. Maggie, you'd have loved to have had this in your day, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would have definitely loved to. I mean, I'm glad you explained that because that looked very complicated. But yeah, look, it's a meaningful competition that plots the pathway for all these teams leading up to the Rugby World Cup. And look, it's important that they're getting these competitive games, you know, because we never really had that when we were obviously leading up to our Rugby World Cups. And it also adds more significance to the localised competitions such as your Six Nations and your Pacific 4 series. But I can't wait until the dates are officially announced and the venues as well, which will happen after the Six Nations. Yeah,
look, Emily, you could well be playing in this. You'd be playing today if you weren't injured. So how important is it going to be for the growth of not just England but overall? That, for instance, you getting regular games against the Black Ferns, for example?
Yeah, it's exactly what you want. You want to play consistently against the very best teams and consistently in tough games. So, you know, at all tiers of that competition, we're hoping to see really competitive games throughout that will, you know, replicate the stages that you might come up against in a Rugby World Cup. So it's, I think, really exciting, you know, for me to hopefully play against the Black Ferns on a regular basis. It could be cool.
And it does give an added dimension to this championship as well, so that Scotland-Ireland next week suddenly has a whole different dimension to it because it will determine where they play in this global annual tournament that's being introduced. Now, look, talking of Ireland, let's look at their team. Greg McWilliams has made 3 changes to the side that lost 24-7 to Italy last time out. Centre Vicky Irwin and scrum half Molly Scuffle-McCabe enter the back line, while Brittany Hogan replaces the injured Dorothy Wall in the back row. Interesting that of the 23 to face England, only 7 players actually have professional contracts. Ireland placed actually a heavy focus on 7, so of the 29 professional contracts is awarded, the majority went to players currently on that 7 circuit trying to qualify for the Olympics. It means Greg McWilliams doesn't have a number of players available during this Six Nations. We can hear from him now, actually. He's with Jenny.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Greg, great to have you with us. The sun is shining a little bit. It's looking like a bright day for a home fixture.
No, it's a great occasion every time we get to come down to Musgrave Park. You know, we're 5,000 plus people out here today cheering both teams on, and we hope we put on a great contest.
Well, can you put into context just how big a test this is for Ireland? Obviously, this Six Nations campaign hasn't quite gone your way the first 3 matches, and you now face England. How big is that?
I think in any challenge, you need to break it down to small parts. I mean, our job is to start the game well, get into the game, get competitive, and, you know, whistle to whistle, you know, keep on top and look forward to the next play. You can never live in the past. You've got to continuously work at being competitive throughout those moments in the game. And, you know, we've done a lot of work this week, and we're proud of the players and how they're committed to what the plan is. They're a terrific group. They really are, and they're putting everything into it. And to be a part of that for me and for the coaching staff is something that I'm really proud of.
I remember this time last year,
I remember
Greg.
very well,
I remember
Senna.
this time last year,
indeed.
coming into camp, and defence was a really big focus for us that week. Has anything changed in terms of your approach coming into a home game against a team like England?
Look, defence is going to be a strong part of any game, particularly when you're playing against a side that will have the majority of the possession. So our defence is going to be really important, and it's important then when we get the ball that we're smart with how we use it. I mean, you remember last year, the lead into that England game. It's important that we're smart, collectively working hard together, and I think defence shows the soul of a team. We hope we can show that today.
And how are you measuring success for yourselves as a team in terms of how you progress through each quarter of this game?
Yeah, look, I've always been process driven. You know, you need to separate the emotion, the process. It's important that you're analytical in how you're improving. You know, they say that numbers don't lie. Our performance is better against France and improved again against Italy in terms of possession stats and how you're using the ball. But there's definitely areas that we need to improve on, and we're really aware of that, and the players are aware of that. We own our performance. At the end of the day, that's all we can control, is what we do as a group and how we get better. Every day, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, Greg, thank you very much for your time. We wish you all the best of luck out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Cheers, Greg.
Thanks, Danny.
Emily, as somebody who captained GB at the Rio Sevens at the Olympics, what do you make of the approach that Ireland have got? Because I think they figure that if they qualify for the Olympics, that's going to be a lot more eyes on the women's game. But they're trying to fight on 2 fronts with a squad that perhaps they don't have the strength and depth that England have. What do you make of the way they're approaching this Six Nations?
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult one. It's a really difficult one to balance. I think they've been open in terms of their focus, and their focus has been trying to qualify for the the next Olympic Games, not the Rio one. And look, they're making really good strides to it. They're in a good qualification spot at the moment, a tough round to come in to lose. But we're seeing it happen a bit. Lisa Thompson, who plays sevens for GB, she's back playing for Scotland this weekend, was last weekend. So it's a really difficult one to balance. We did it when we played sevens. You know, sometimes we'd do years where you were playing one and you weren't a part of the other one, and it does take a big toll on the side that you're leaving, and I think that's what we're seeing at the moment with Ireland. Moving forward, you've got to find a way to get the depth in both of those squads in order for them both to really push on.
Was there an argument for this weekend, because the next round of the sevens isn't for a couple of weeks, was there an argument for bringing in a player like Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe and using her against England here? Yeah,
there could have been. I think there's quite a few players, you know, Eve Higgins as well, a lot of them that played last year, and they did it last year. They flip-flopped a little bit last year and came in for some Six Nations games and were pulled out for others. There is this gap, as I said. You know, Lisa Thompson's doing it for Scotland to be able to do that. But if you're setting your stall out, we want Olympic qualification, we want to put everything into that, then I think you have to stand strong on that and give that your best effort.
Well, Meg, let's focus on Ireland player that is involved today, that's really caught your eye in their back row, the number 8, Derva Nicholverd. What do you make of her?
Yeah, she's one of my favourite players, and actually it's quite interesting. She's come from the sevens programme, but there's 3 things that she does incredibly well, and one of them, as highlighted here, it's her carries from the scrum. You know, her ability to pick and go, and the opposition stand off her, so she always has this space to run. And she's also very good at turning over the ball at the breakdown. And then the third thing, this is where she brings her sevens experience, you know, ability to evade players. You know, so far in the Six Nations, she's made, well, broken the line once and also beaten 7 defenders. And that highlights the quality that she brings to this team. And you kind of think for Ireland in this game, they just centre a lot of their rugby around her.
Ireland have, though, conceded 17 tries, I think, in 3 games. If they don't get their defensive set-up right today, it could be a long afternoon. So, you know, where could they perhaps make small improvements there?
Yeah, for me, I mean, you know, Greg McWilliam's really highlighted their defence is where they can get some quick wins. So it's, at the moment, they're slightly disjointed. They don't really name who they're going to make the tackles on. But here's what I really highlighted. So Aoife Dorr, she's so narrow. Look at all that space that Italy have got to attack in. And when they break the line, Ireland struggle to get that scramble defence, struggle to get their shape again to be able to defend. And that just highlights they've got to really work to slow down the ball, but also communicate in defence. But when Ireland get in those right positions, so here, a minute before the half-time, they lack composure. Grace Moore here knocks the ball on, and that was a definite chance for them to score a try. So for me, what I want to see from Ireland, to strengthen their defence, communicate, don't be disjointed, but when you're in those key areas, you know, manage that composure and don't be afraid to almost slow the game down and then find those opportunities to score.
Excellent. More from Emily and Maggie shortly. Now, look, there's been a fair bit of noise surrounding the women's team in Ireland of late. It follows an article in the Telegraph newspaper here, actually, which suggested deep-rooted sexism towards women's rugby within the Irish Rugby Football Union. Let's go back to Musgrave Park. We can hear the views from Sene Naupu now, who's with Jenny.
Thanks, Sonia. Well, Sene, it's been quite upsetting and concerning, these sexism allegations that have come out in women's Irish rugby. Just how deep-rooted do they go?
Yeah, it certainly is disappointing, and I'll tell you why it's disappointing, because look, it's obviously true and that it's written about. Fee Thomas in her article, and I do want to acknowledge the support that we had, Irish women's rugby had over the last week. It's one of those things that it's an attitude that isn't reflective of all of the staff and all of the governance and leadership in Irish rugby, and it's also disappointing for another couple of reasons. One, it's an oppressive attitude. It's a class systemic issue that has been holding us back for so many years. I'm only recently retired, and this question was raised last weekend, and I know we got a bit of backlash because we were too soft. The reality was, I'm not long out of the game, and it just raised some emotional trauma for me, genuinely. It's not just the impact that type of attitude in a governance and leadership environment has on the players on the pitch, but certainly on a, you know, when you leave the game, the well-being that it impacts players as well. But certainly, look, there's a number of things that are right there in front of us, across the water. You know, England Rugby, for example, governance and leadership mandated towards the direction of girls and women's rugby. It means that their competition structures domestically, premiership, wonderful 10 teams, men's DORs across the 10 teams, can facilitate their knowledge share, align the technical skills for their players, so by the time, you know, the England players get to that squad level, they're ready to go. And also, it's not just the England players are supporting, it's other countries also in the competition as well. Commercial programs underpinning it, PDPs as well, so personal development support, like independent organisations. Nolly Waterman's Women's Rugby Association, super initiative because it's independent. It needs to support the players fit for purpose. So there's some examples there, fit for purpose, that you can also do in an accelerate way for Irish rugby, and there are ways that we need to look at systemic and structurally to ensure that Ireland can compete against the likes of England and France.
Certainly, Senny, thank you so much. I can see it's emotional for you as well. Thank you.
It's not a surprise, though, really, Emily, is it, to hear Senny as moved as she is by what she heard?
No, not at all. You know, she said she only retired last year. She's been in that island setup for a long time. It's certainly not what you want to be hearing about. It's not what it's not what you want to be hearing about. You want things like that to come to the fore for changes to be made. I think, you know, she made a really good point there around the English Premiership and how prominent that is, what a great job that does in terms of developing players, etc., etc. And, you know, many issues, but certainly one that I think, you know, other nations can try and get right in terms of their domestic rugby.
And I think what upsets me the most is that all these women are working incredibly hard off the field, doing some amazing things, and the governance, and it's really highlighted, the governance there with the IRFU, you know, the support wasn't there. And it's sad to think that that article really had to highlight, you know, what's happening or what has happened, and there needs to be change. You know, what's pleasing, there is progress, we're seeing that, but it's still slow. And we need to keep banging that drum. And I'm so pleased that those women out there are still putting in the performance. Yeah, they're not getting the results, but they're almost ignoring what's happening around them to focus on what they've got to do. And we need to keep making sure that this topic and this agenda doesn't stop.
Indeed, well said, Maggie. Right, let's go to the England team, shall we? Because the return of scrum half Mo Hunt headlines 7 changes made by Simon Middleton, and after the frustration of being omitted from the World Cup squad, a calf injury had ruled her out of the Six Nations until now. Elsewhere in the backs, Ellie Culldun returns at fullback with Claudia MacDonald also starting after recovering from a knock. She's on the left wing, so Abby Dow switches flanks, meaning Jess Breach misses out. The entire front row has been changed. There are first starts of the campaign for props Hannah Bottoman and Maud Muir, who made significant impacts off the bench against Wales. Note, Helena Rowland is on the bench. Now, Simon Middleton's going to step down as England coach, isn't he, after this Six Nations? So this is a final trip on the road with the Red Roses, and we can hear it from him now.
Simon, great to have you with us. Some big names back in the side. Natasha Hunt back in, Helena Rowland back in as well. What kind of boost is that to the squad?
Yeah, I think whenever we get a player returning, you know, it's fantastic for us because, you know, it gives everybody a shot in the arm, and you know, the quality players, and we've missed them. So yeah, it's always, it just adds to the enthusiasm of the group and the energy of the group. So yeah, and then obviously for them it's special, you know, because players like to play, don't they?
They do. You're 10 on the bounce on the road, looking for that record 11th?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we love breaking records. You know, it's what good teams do. It's what great teams do, and that's what we've tried to be. And so if we can post another one today, great. But that'll only come with the performance.
Speaking of records, I do want to congratulate you. Last weekend obviously was a record. Next weekend will be a huge sellout. And certainly today, actually, there's probably one of the biggest numbers we've had at Musgrave Park so far since it started here last year. How have you approached this week, heading into a game that, you know, you're targeting that 11th win?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what we do is we prepare the same for every game, and I'd like to think that that's, you know, one of the marks of the hallmarks of the side is that regardless of whether we're home, we're away, or who we're playing, our preparation is as thorough as it can be. And one of the things we've talked about this week is trying to fix some of the areas that we didn't do so well last week. So the breakdown, we got attacked at the breakdown, and we came unstuck there, and we didn't start the game particularly well. I thought we had a great second half, and we responded really well. But one of the last clips I showed the girls before we sort of got on the bus was the energy that the Ireland girls had right to the end of the game against Italy, and you know, they get a penalty try, and the speed that they're trying to get back, and the energy, just the enthusiasm. I said, look, these guys are going to keep going right to the end, and that's what I expect from our players today, and that's what we want to do. So yeah, you know, we're prepared for an 80-minute game, and I'm sure that's what we're going to get.
Well, Simon, it's your last game on the road as head coach, so go and enjoy it. Good luck.
Thank you. Will do. Cheers, guys.
Emily, 7 changes to this side from the Wales game, including the entire front row. Is this very much a selection with one eye on France lurking at Twickenham next week?
I think so. I think obviously it's great to have Hannah Bottoman back. First game last week, returning from injury that she sustained during the World Cup. Maud Muir as well picked up a knock, so to get minutes back in her as well, really important. And as you say, two big, prevalent front row players that will be super important coming up a very physical French side next week.
Yeah, Maggie, Mackenzie Carson's gone well at loosehead, actually, in the absence of Hannah Bottoman for England. But we've got now Maud Muir and Hannah Bottoman, both back, both starting. What will they bring, do you think, to this England team?
I mean, first let me start off with, I think Simon Middleton is so lucky to have so many players at his disposal, considering we've got Bottoman and Muir coming back from injury. And, you know, Carson came in and made her debut in the Six Nations and has almost shown her maturity as well. So I think, for me, what they both bring is they just bring that experience. They also bring that level of confidence, and they're fearless as well with the way they play. And I think also it's the character. You know, they're both young in particular, and Connie Powell as well. But so let's look in more detail about what Muir and Bottoman do. So for me, Maud Muir, she only got 21 minutes last weekend, and again, it's her carrying ability. So, you know, 5 metres out, she will brush off 2 or 3 defenders. And then Bottoman, she's very good. She gets used almost like a decoy here. So she stands in the middle, and players just don't know whether she's going to carry or not. But when she really gets her impact is when she's literally looking for that pick and go, you know, especially when teams are unable to defend at the breakdown. But this is what she does well at the breakdown. I mean, look at that turnover. You almost think that should be mistaken for me, I mean, with the skills there. But then you look at both of them, when they're in the scrum, their combo, they can absolutely destroy opposition packs. And this was, what, 3 minutes before the end of the game, they both literally walked over the Welsh pack. So I really enjoy watching them both play. I mean, Bottom in particular, her character, she's like Joe Marler to an extent. And I think there was one game where she was crawling behind the back of us whilst we were in the, interview.
We can see you, Hannah. I wonder who starts at loosehead next week, Hannah Bottoman or Mackenzie Carson?
Really interesting debate. I think it will be fascinating to see how Hannah goes today, and then, you know, the impact that one of them will also come off the bench with in a tight France game at the end.
Yeah, now England last weekend, 9 tries, all scored by different players, and not a single driving maul anywhere to be seen. You'd love to be playing in that attack, wouldn't you?
I think the backs are all celebrating, aren't they? But I think it just shows the intent that England have come into this competition with. They've been very outspoken about the fact they wanted to develop their game, develop the wide play, add variety to it as well. And I think Holly Aitchison has been a huge driver of that. You know, her passing ability there, her ability to run with the ball as well. And when you've got a back three like England are very, very lucky to have, the likes of Abby Dow, Jess Breach, Claudia McDonald, etc., you've got to try and get them the ball and give them the opportunity to really go and take off. I think Tatiana Hurd and Langi Tuima in the middle have been excellent, driving hard and square and giving Holly Aitchison that opportunity with her pace, with her rugby nous, just to be able to go and take defenders on. And this occasion she decides to go herself and earns the try, which she definitely deserves. I think the other interesting thing for England has been their use of, in this instance, Sarah Byrne in the wide channels. They keep such good width, and that doesn't have to be backs and back three. It can be that across the whole squad, the forwards as well. Jess Breach obviously finishing this one, but I think the interesting thing for me, obviously with Sarah Byrne being on the bench today, is who adopts that wide forward role now with her on the bench to start with.
Yeah, Hannah Bottoman probably, I imagine she'll be everywhere. Look, someone who'll be everywhere today at scrum half. Mo Hunt is back. The way England are playing at the moment, it's perfectly set up for her, the type of style she likes to play with as well. Given she missed out on the World Cup, how fired up today is she going to be to come out and show people what they've been missing? Yeah,
I think she'll be really excited and no doubt nervous as well. I think she tweeted, you know, just a few days ago about, you know, being able to sing God Save the King, because she's not been able to sing that yet in an England shirt, and I think super excited about that opportunity. But you're right, the way England are playing, the pace, the tempo, the injection of speed, it screams her name. So I'm really excited for her to get this opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how she goes today. Mo Hunt back in this side. You can see the England team just emerging. There's Marley Packer, the England captain. Cork often referred to, isn't it, as the Rebel City. Ireland's women, they're going to need to find some fierce resistance today, I think, to repel this England team. Your commentary comes first from Sarah Hunter and Sarah Orchard.
Yes, Cork, the Republic of Ireland's second largest city, is our base to launch round 4 of the Women's Six Nations. England already out onto the field, fresh from victory against Wales in Cardiff. But here come Ireland, the home side. A glorious welcome for them onto the Musgrave Park field. The stadium is known to many rugby fans as one of the homes of Munster rugby, but today the residency is firmly won for the women in green. Well, plenty of flags being waved. We are expecting some interesting weather. There could be a little bit of rain that comes in throughout this fixture, but dry to start off with. And rugby will now make it stand against racism. There is, of course, no place for it here in the game, in sport, or indeed anywhere in the world. But first we have the anthem, starting with England. And now we have the Irish anthems. Well, wonderful to see some happy faces as we get ready to go in round 4 of the Six Nations. Let's take a look at the team, starting off with Ireland. Head coach Greg McWilliams makes 3 changes to the side that lost to Italy last week. In the forwards, Ulster's Brittany Hogan wears 6. She gets that starting berth following injury to Dorothy Wall. The rest of the pack does remain unchanged. Into the backs, Sale's Vicky Owen starts. She'll be lining up inside Aoife Dalton in the centres, while Leinster's Molly Scuffle-McCabe, she returns at scrum half after she and Owen were actually on the bench just last week. As we move into England, now there are plenty of changes. 7 new faces in total, plus 1 positional change for the head coach, Simon Middleton. Up front, props Hannah Bosman, Maud Muir. They start after starring off the bench last week. The Gloucester-Hartbury duo of Connie Powell at hooker and Sarah Beckett wearing 5 also come in. In the backs, all eyes on Natasha Hunt wearing 9, her first appearance after being dropped for the World Cup. Claudia McDonald and Ellie Kildan also start as Abidal switches wings from left to right. Now, it's interesting on the replacements benches because Nicole Cronin was sadly injured in the warm-up, so Elsie Hughes is actually going to come in and wear 21 for Ireland. For England, Loughborough Lightning's Helena Rowland could make her first appearance since the World Cup semi-final. Right then, Lauren Jenner is our woman with the whistle. She's New Zealand-born but has long called Italy home. She'll be refereeing in her second Six Nations campaign this year, as everyone now gets ready to prepare themselves. Alongside me here in commentary today, former England captain Sarah Hunter. A lot of people expecting a big scoreline, but ultimately it's just two teams playing rugby.
Good afternoon. Yeah, it certainly is, and Ireland are at home, and I know there's been much talk about what the result's going to be, but I think we'll see a fight from Ireland. You know, they'll be fighting for pride. They won't want to have heard what's been written about them in the press, and they'll be out to prove a point today.
Well, the time for talk is over. It's just 15 women against 15 playing a sport that they all love. England then, as Hunt there at the back, wearing 9. A big day for her. You know there'll be a huge focus after everything that happened for her in the last few months, as the ball is kicked down the field in the end by Aitchison. Gathered by Delaney. Just to find her pathway through the white shirts and some of her own green shirts as well, as Scuffle McKay passes out and finds Monaghan. Well, that was a loose ball and it's been snaffled straight away by Matthews. Here comes Packer. Probably wasn't expecting to do a little bit of rucking work, but they've ended up with the ball and it spins over the top of the heads of some of the England players there. Tuima. Hunt manages to find more forwards on arrival, this time through Matthews. We did find out that Alex Matthews was actually a little bit poorly in last week's match against Wales, as we see the breakaway, and it's going to be Hunt. She's still going. She's going to be stopped short a metre of the line. Quick ball, it comes out round the corner, still not over the line for England, but only a minute on the clock, and England look like they're in a very strong position. It spins out. Was that a knock-on? Referee is playing on. Kildan has it.
New advantage.
Penalty advantage for England.
Oh, yeah.
Pow. Well, the Irish defensive line being tested really early on, as expected. Muir. Hunt then out to Aitchison. Manages to find Tuima. The stretch really being put on the green shirts. McDonald thought about it. In the end, it's Byrne. It's not Byrne in the end, it's Beckett. Beckett with the touchdown in the corner. 2 minutes on the clock. And one there for the Gloucester Hartbury player. She's had a difficult time of late, but certainly taking her opportunity.
Yeah, she got on the score sheet last week and she's done the same here, but it all comes from this. The woman that got 3 turnovers last week, Hannah Bottomans, in there to disrupt the ball and jump on it, and then it comes from a great line break here from Sadia Kabea with Mo Hunt on the shoulder. Doesn't quite get there, but that's fine. They recycle the ball well. They go from one edge to the other edge. Sarah Beckett holds her width really well, and you've got both wingers passing out to the second row on the wing to touchdown.
Oh, we're so used to seeing the forwards now hanging out in these wide channels, and yeah, big moment for Sarah Beckett. She's had a real rough run of injuries of late, and very happy to be out there on the field as we now see Tuima line up this conversion. 100% with her kicking in Cardiff last week. And that one just a little bit short, so it's not going to be the full complement of points for England. But it was just the width that England managed to get on the ball.
Yeah, it was, you know, and I think that's something that they've really tried to ingrain the Six Nation is someone staying in that 5-metre channel, whether it's a back or a forward, but it just creates problems for the defence because they have to keep an eye on which either creates gaps through the middle, or if they get sucked in, if someone's out on the edge, it creates that space for them to run in tries like that.
O'Brien then with the restart. Back into English hands, 5 metres out from the far side touch. Neve Jones in there for Ireland, just trying to slow down that ball. England's ruck speed so far in the Six Nations, an ever impressive thing. Just trying to cause a little bit of confusion there for England, but they do come away with it with doubt.
Sorry, say that again. Okay, for green.
Once again, Maud Muir crashing through the Gloucester Hartbury tight head. Made a return from a hand injury last week as it just goes to ground
Offside
through
green.
Tuima.
Number,
But
Maria.
it's offside again. And just the pace of the game is what
Offside,
Ireland
girls.
are going to have to keep up with.
Yeah, they certainly are. You know, that's probably their third penalty. England didn't have to go to the line out early. They played advantage, but I think that's 3 penalties now against Ireland, which they can't afford to do, and especially so earlier on in the game, so they'll have to start to address that.
Cool. Keep that game, guys.
And plenty of happy faces watching on, cheering their country. Really tough take there in the air by Cabella.
Stay 6.
And that's looking strong from England. They didn't get a try from this position in Cardiff last week. I'm just trying to see if that one's slowed down, but you can see that Brittany Hogan has made her way round, and that's coming out in an Irish direction, and that is a great fillip for Ireland early on.
It certainly is. You know, England have been really dominant in this area, and rightly so. They've gone to it early on to see and test Ireland, but Brittany Hogan there does so well. You know, the accuracy from Connie Powell to hit the back ball with her first line out of the game, and it looks like England are settled, but Brittany Hogan somehow ends up round there and just holds on, and when the maul is taken down by the attacking side, if it stops, it means that they've got to turn over and give it to that Irish team.
Yeah, Hogan getting an opportunity. Dorothy Wall's picked up an injury, so she's managed to get that 6th shirt. Played quite a bit of Ireland 7s as well, Hogan.
Okay. Okay.
Referee just calming things down there.
Both sides down. We'll reset this. Still green.
Ireland's scrum's been going really well in the Six Nations. You know, it led to their only try last week against Italy when they got a penalty try. So it'll be really interesting. Obviously, England on their ball have got 100%. So it's going to be a real contestable area for both teams today.
Crouch. Bind.
Christy Haney there, the tight head for Ireland. She's a structural engineer. She'll know what it takes to hold this up. But it's a penalty for Ireland. It's on the English loose head side. It's Botsman who's gone straight in there to talk to the referee. And that will be a huge frustration for England.
It will be, but equally it'll be a huge confidence boost for Ireland. You know, early in this game, you know, they've conceded penalties, they've been under pressure, but it'll now give them a platform, and it's the best way to relieve pressure by getting a scrum penalty. Here you can see, I think, bottom, maybe Maud Muir there on the tight head's gone straight down, I think, which was the reason they've been given that penalty.
Well, from the scrum, which has been a real strength from Ireland, to the line out now, which they've had a few issues with.
That's not straight.
I think Neva Jones knows there she wasn't quite on song, puts her hand up straight away.
Yeah, it's been a real area of concern for Ireland throughout the Six Nations. I think they've got 78% on their own ball, and you know, you've just worked really hard in that scrum to get the penalty, and you haven't been able to convert that in and win your own line out. It's something they really need to start to address.
There you go, Greg McWilliams, the head coach there, having a little chat with John McKee, another one of the senior coaches in this Irish setup.
Bind.
Ball is in then from one of the co-captains from Gloucester Hartbury, Natasha Hunt, as the ball comes away to Hurd. She just straightens her line, Hurd. Gets an extra couple of metres for her money from that last ball as she pushes out wide. McDonald back from injury, happy to fend off green shirts as they fly up to her. But has that been lost forward? Here come Ireland. Nice run in the end by Aoife Dalton. Scuffle McKeag finally arrives. Really slow here from Ireland. You just see there Zoe Allcroft at the back there for England, just trying to disrupt things.
Guys, there's no advantage. It's lost forward.
So they're going to come back and it'll be an Irish scrum, which they won't be too upset about.
They won't, but it's also an interesting decision because usually on a advantage from a knock-on, when you kick it away, then that's your advantage over. So to bring it back to them for a scrum, which is their strength, but equally it's still inside their danger zone, their pressure zone where they don't want to be.
There you go, that is Molly Scuffle-McCabe there, the Leinster scrum half. Only her 8th cap today. Made a debut against England in the last Six Nations. A lot of pressure on who is going to really own that 9 shirt for Ireland. Catherine Dane out at the moment, making her way back to health.
Like I said at pre-match, my calls are going to be nice and slow to allow stability. I need both teams to be stable before I can move on to the next call. Okay? Okay. Spear, if you can watch this side, please. Thank you. Mark's still here.
Well, you can just see there from the eyes of Linda Dugang there. She wants that touch judge on that far side watching very closely about what's going on. That was where the penalty was won last time.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Early push.
Oh, early push there from England. They can't do that until the ball is in, and it's a happy day now if you're an Irish pack.
It certainly is, you know, their second scrum, and they get rewarded from it. It'll be an area, they've gone back to it. They're obviously really confident in that. I guess another free kick, they'll get a penalty, or they might be hoping they get a straight penalty from that. But yeah, like you say, that the ball has to come in before you can push through, and the referee obviously deemed that England went a little bit too early. So that's two scrum infringements now that England will be starting to problem solve so they don't repeat it.
Well, for many years, England had Matt Ferguson, who was their forwards coach. He specialised in the scrum area, and when he left, Lewis Deacon came in, who is more of a line-out specialist. They don't necessarily have a direct scrum coach at the moment, as Ireland are then pushed back. And it comes away in the end through Nick Avard. Lots of talk about how well she's done in the Six Nations.
Inside, inside.
Second most carries so far of any player behind Marley Packer of England. But England have it back. McDonald on a mazy run. And I think she won't want to watch that pass back.
No, it just probably didn't need to be given, you know, especially from turnover ball. We know how strong England are, and just don't need to force anything really. Just need to maybe take in that contact and look to go to the edge on the next phase. As we see here, there, you probably could just straighten up a little bit. It's quite a difficult pass to make, and it goes over Langi Tuima's head there.
Well, it's a line out then for Ireland, so all eyes now on Jones. They've managed to come away with that one, as O'Brien is on the ball. And again, Nick Avard. Ball gone forwards. There was a lot of knocked on balls from Ireland in the opening passages of play against Italy. You do find sometimes they just have to settle into games. Oh, a little bit of a touch on that ball as they try to clear that one away. They'll come back and England will get a scrum.
No.
Yeah, it'll just be frustrating. Obviously, it wasn't a clean line out for Ireland to really strike from. And then Nick Avard, who had a great carry and has been carrying really well, will probably be a little bit frustrated by they didn't retain it. You see there, it just has to be knocked back to the scrum half. And here, great carry, breaks through the tackle, but Sadia Kabea does so well to rip that ball and turn it over.
The England coaching staff just making some notes there. You can see there it's Simon Middleton there wearing the red watch. Next to him, you can see to the left-hand side of your screen is Lewis Deacon. Deacon, the only member of the England coaching staff who'll be staying on after this Six Nations, as all the questions are starting now about who is going to be coming in and taking on this Red Roses outfit as they build towards their home World Cup in 2025.
Okay, otherwise, absolutely. Just
have you applied, Sarah?
Absolutely
not.
Let me just clear that up now. There we go.
Okay. All right.
Well, they are just going to get ready to pack down then. And after England scored that try through Sarah Beckett very early days in this, I have to say, I don't think either side would be overly pleased with their performance in the last 10.
No, it's just been a bit scrappy. You know, unforced errors from both sides, a bit of discipline issues. So yeah, it's been a bit stop-start. So hopefully, as the game goes on, we'll build in to see a bit more free flow in rugby.
Bones! Sit!
Oh, look at that push from Ireland. It's coming up on this near side. The strength of these women is so impressive. It has managed to come out, though. Tuima is put into heavy traffic there. There was an Ireland player over the top of it.
You're rolling in the space of the arriving players. You were fine. You were fine. 12 has to roll.
Well, there you go. It wasn't Nicobar who was actually in trouble there. It was the arriving player in Vicky Irwin. And that's not touch. O'Brien sends it back. Good done. A little bit of footwork there to stop that ball. Dunn originally made her debut against Canada back in 2017. Now winning her 33rd cap today, as it is Abby Dow who comes down the near side wing, and Ireland will know just how dangerous she can be and not to give her any space. Yeah. Ball down the line, nice little show and go there by Tuima. Hunt, Powell. Big tackle going in her by Moore.
Hold! Hold, no!
Muir again. Big hit going in on Hunt there. A teammate from Gloucester Hartbury, but this is Hurd. It's still Tatiana Hurd. She's scored in every game. Having not scored a try in an England shirt until this Six Nations, she now can't stop.
No, she can't. And you just see her again cropping up on that edge, you know, ensuring that England keep their wits. But England will be a lot happier with that, you know, just their patience to go through the phases, to keep possession of the ball. You know, great hands by Beckett to put Abby Dow in, makes that great run, gets back to her feet. She's not held, she can do that. Mo gets the ball away. Holly Aitchison ball again out to Tatiana Hurd out on the edge, and it's just creating problems for Ireland all over the pitch at the minute.
Absolutely.
And this is also where I have to give my public service announcement that if anyone doesn't know, Natasha Hunt is known as Mo. As Sarah Hunter giggles to me. She's actually known mostly now in rugby circles as Mo Hunt, the scrum half for England. But that is Tatiana Hurd who scored there. Well, Lungi Tuima will probably be hoping that maybe some of her teammates could get a bit closer. I think that's definitely what she'll be thinking right now. She won't want to watch that one back on the replays. So no conversions yet for England. But certainly a couple of tries. And Tatiana Hurd, who really was a bit of a shock name to some when she got into the Rugby World Cup squad. She's always been there or thereabouts, but she's had a lot of injuries she's had to overcome. But she really has made a name for herself.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think that's testament to the character she is, that to come back from significant injury, and not just on one occasion either, but she's just flourishing at Gloucester Hartbury. You know, she's really grown into a great international centre.
Cabea. Aitchison. We're going to come back for the penalty.
It's areas like this where Ireland just need to be really ultra disciplined. You know, it's a really easy out for England, and that's where you might get an unforced error from England, where you can capitalise on that turnover and have a bit of possession in England's half.
Well, Connie Powell throwing in the ball then for England at the line out. A lot of talk about the injury to Amy Cockayne she suffered when she missed out on the England game last week for Wales. She played for the RAF.
Great, thank you.
So Powell getting her shot with Lark Davis on the bench. There was frustration at Cockayne, who's in incredible run of form, as the ball is just juggled there by Tuima out to kill Dunn.
Advantage is over.
Dow once again. Hunt looks up, support from Beckett. Real good strength there by Sarah Beckett. Holds her ground. Aldcroft. Hunt finds Aitchison. She thinks she can see a way through. No fly half then. Hurd happy to take it on. Kildunn looking for work. Not a lot of depth at the moment to this English attack, but they're certainly keeping this alive. Skipper, Packer.
No, you've kept her in there, you've kept her in there. You've kept her in there.
Aldcroft. Almost ran into her own player. Yes, she did run. Little bit of accidental there, but you have to say England were pushed to be quite lateral in the end.
Yeah, they have, and I think it comes back to your point, Sarah, that they're quite flat. They probably just need to reload a little bit earlier, work a little bit harder off the ball so that they can create that natural depth. They can come onto the ball at pace, and they can try and challenge the defensive line a little bit more.
Tin, the ball's in front of your player, so we can play on.
Well, there you go. That was the moment you just saw there.
Time's off.
Little bit of hesitation.
Yeah, I think Zoe Aldcroft didn't really know whether she's going to carry, whether she was going to tip onto Maud Muir. Maud Muir had overrun it, and in the end it led to that offside and the penalty to relieve pressure for Ireland.
Well, the penalty count there. Just clocking along reasonably comfortably for both sides. Nothing too much to worry about, but it will be a concern if there was a problem with Linda Dugang. She really burst onto the scene, and she has taken one of those Irish contracts, but she really is a fabulous loose head prop. And hopefully she'll be okay to continue. Dugang was actually a nurse before she took on that contract. There she is, just wearing that scrum cap there on the left-hand side of your screen with one on her back. Heavily involved in Irish hospitals during the pandemic. Well, a chance then to look at another Irish line-out, and this is an area they'd really like to improve on.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, it's a real great platform to play off, and it just hasn't functioned in the Six Nations for one reason or another. That's a throw, a missed time, a missed call. There's been a lot of areas where it hasn't. And again, it's not straight. You know, up in the right space, it is quite blustery, which you've got to take into account at times.
Well, Niamh Jones, all the focus will be on her now. She's such a fantastic tackler. She's a real terrier around the park, but this arguably is an area that has been highlighted before that she really needs to improve on.
Yeah, if you're going to be an international hooker, it's your bread and butter. You see there, Connie Powell absolutely nails that, and it creates a great platform for England to strike off.
Oh, it's Beckett again, and she's absolute tractor. Here comes Hurd. She's already got one as well. Ball comes away. Still England. They need to stretch this out wide. They've got numbers out there. Packer can tell. Now McDonald. She does give the pass away. Kildunn will finish as she knows she needs to get closer to the post. 3 tries in the end now for England. 21 minutes on the clock. And England just slowly working their way up the scoreboard.
Yeah, they are. And again, we talk about the importance of the line out. England get the ball from a not straight, choose the option of the line out. Sarah Beckett makes a great run, breaks one tackler, fends the other, gets the offload out the back with Tatiana Hurd on her shoulder to carry. Don't panic, create the phasers, play again, and again, England holding width on the edge. Ireland defend through the middle, but they create all those spaces. Claudia MacDonald out to Ellie Kildunn, and it's just a walk-in. But Ellie Kildunn's helping Langi Tuima out by running a little bit closer to those posts to make it a little bit of an easier kick for her.
Yeah, Ellie Kildunn. A couple of tries versus Ireland last year. Happy to take on duties once again, but it's Tuima stepping up now for the conversion. Well, not to be on this occasion. So still no conversions there for England, but still 3 tries, and all started off by that glorious run there by Sarah Beckett. Wonderful support line by Hurd. And then the backs just doing their job, getting it out to the space, and Kildun knowing a little bit closer might be a bit nicer.
I thought Marley Packer might try to go at the line for herself, but she did well to square up and get the ball out to the width.
Well, this fixture last year at Welford Road was actually finished in the end 69-0. Ireland did put up a pretty fantastic fight, we have to say, in the first half, but it was the second half where England really pulled away.
Taken back.
At the moment, it does look to be slightly one-sided with only 22 minutes on the clock as it comes down the throat in the end of Delaney, who plays her rugby in the Premier 15s at Sale.
On.
So, a lot of the players here for Ireland today, they do play across the pond. The ball is bouncing back a little bit too much on that one, so Bean touches down.
Drop out. Wait for your players to be behind you.
You can just see England already set in, Ireland are walking back. It probably just shows you the difference in the physicality levels, the fatigue levels that are potentially already setting in. England want to play this fast-paced game with relentless intensity.
Yeah, and already England coming back, and Hurd is having an absolute flyer. As I say that, as a commentator's curse for you, she knocks on the ball in the contact.
Backwards, always under pressure. No advantage, knock on.
And a lot of the women, we've already said, some of them do play in the Premier 15s for Ireland. There's a lot of talk at the moment about the contracts that they have, that not many have taken them. A lot of them haven't taken them because they are playing in a league where they've got jobs, they've got families, they've created a lives for themselves, they've got houses as well. So they will know each other. I mean, like Tatiana Hurd there, who plays for Gloucester Hartbury, she will know very well a number of these Irish players, like Yaniv Joneses, also Sam Monaghan.
Yeah, you know, they play week in, week out at club with them, but equally Nicola Friday at Exeter play against them. So it makes for a really interesting contest when you come to facing off against them when you get to international level.
Scuffle McCabe then. Still only 25 years old. Going up against Hunt, who is now 34. All of her years of experience. You can see there just closing down their Hunt, trying to make sure they can't get real good clearance or exit out in that far left wing. Great hand.
5.
Do you have one like that, Sarah?
No, I don't, but maybe I should get that matching sunglasses to go with it.
I like it a lot. As the ball comes down this English line. Hurd now. This is Kildun. She goes back inside. That's really nice by McDonald. Oh, she's managed to evade that tackle. England looking for a bonus point. Hunt manages to find Cabella. Support in from Bottoman. Hunt again, maybe almost thinking of a snipe there, resists. Hunt then straight away, pop ball back inside, and it's the captain. Packer goes over, and that is 4 tries for England, and less than half an hour on the clock.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shaky start, you know, from England in that sort of 10 minutes. A bit of unforced errors, frustration, but they seem to be back in full swung. Just a hold-up from Marley Packer there to Tatiana Hurd. Again, they go to the edge. If they either make the tackle there, you know, it's a lot more difficult for England, but they fall off the tackle. Claudia MacDonald carries again. They go from one edge. A lovely little carry there from Marley Packer coming on that short line, and not many people are gonna stop Marley Packer from that far out.
Okay, thank you. No.
Well, you have to say, Langi Tuima knows it, but that kick wasn't good enough when it's right in front of the post like that. And the question will be is if Langi Tuima hasn't brought her kicking boots today. They've got Amber Reid on the bench. Helena Rowland can kick at goal as well. If they might try and change some things there. It won't be too big a concern from England with the scoreboard the way it is, but when you talk about 1%ers and big games, it is an area that needs to improve.
Yeah, well, you know, in games like this, it probably won't come into consideration, but potentially in that that Six Nations title decider next week at France, it might come down to the fine margins about whether you get your conversions or penalty kicks. So I'm sure it's an area they're always working on.
On the ball.
Matthews then taking the ball into contact, setting it up again now for Cabella. England just looking to find a way out of their half of the field. They haven't had to spend too long in it. Leinster's O'Brien, just a little chip over the top. They're trying to create that chaos with those little kicks, but England just deal with them so well.
Yeah, they do, and then if you kick like that, you haven't got anyone chasing the ball, or you're just kicking possession away, which at the minute Ireland just need to keep hold of.
Oh, Beckett has come to play today. Bottoman still going away. Simon Middleton talking this week that he thinks she's a contender for one of the best loose heads in the world right now. Just wants to see if he can get a bit more out of her engine and a few more minutes. Hunt, Packer, support there by Muir. And that one's gone forward from England in the contact. And as we were talking about Bottoman there, I think she's injured herself in that last contact.
Yeah, she looked just to fall a little bit awkwardly as she went to ground after carrying the ball, and she does look to be in a little bit discomfort.
Green number 1. Over there.
And this will be a concern because Hannah Bottoman picked up an injury in the build-up to the World Cup final. She's only just come back from it when she came off the bench last week against Wales. And you can just see there, she's got her hands up to her face, looking very frustrated. And you just see possibly that, I think that's Jugang who's just gone off the field there.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when players have got their hands in their face in their hands, but she's with the medics. Hopefully they'll get that sorted, and it gives a chance for everyone to have a bit of a breather. And you can see here England are in a huddle, no doubt Marley Packer's giving them the orders and probably just identifying some of the things that they've been a bit frustrated with, some of the unforced errors, and just to refocus on the things that they've done really well, which is retain possession and go forward.
Well, Hannah Bottoman there, I think they're still just assessing that leg to see if she's going to carry on or not.
Here, I was happy with that. I was happy, but I do appreciate where you're coming from, and they had a warning.
Natasha Hunt saying something was really hard. She's a good scrum half, isn't she?
All scrum halves do it, don't they? They're in the ear of the referee throughout the whole game.
Well, this is a really disappointing sight to see Hannah Bottoman having to go off the field there for England. We said not long back from injury. And it does mean Mackenzie Carson gets another run there.
Yeah, it's really sad to see any player leave the field, but especially Hannah Bottoman. She's just come back from a knee injury. Look, she looks absolutely devastated there. I just hope they're taking the precaution, and it's something that they can deal with, and it's not too serious.
I should say coming on for Ireland there was Catherine Buggy. Ball come out then from Ireland, whose scrum continues to look pretty decent in this fixture. Looking for work off the fullback there was Delaney. She manages to find Doyle. And that is a big penalty for Ireland. They want the ball quickly. Packer wasn't releasing. And the run made by Doyle there, who rightly gets the credit.
Yeah, really positive outcome for Ireland, and a really good attack off their platform from a scrum down the edge. A missed tackle by Claudia MacDonald, I think, which allows them to get in behind here. You see, they go to the edge. Aoife Doyle here breaks the tackle, and then Marley Packer will think she got clear release, but the referee thinks otherwise. She has to seem to remove both hands before she can go back on that ball.
Well, Ireland into England's 22 for the first time. That line out straight, and here comes the push. The crowd know that this is huge. Jones has it. We can see Kabir, she's just working her way through. They're holding on to her bind. Eventually they do release. Scuffle McCabe looking for options, finds the captain Friday. And it's been stolen, ripped away by England, and all that excitement. All of a sudden, the ball's back down the other end of the field.
Yeah, now the moments Ireland really need to take. You know, they get into the opposition 22, they get the line out functioning, and they just can't keep the faces. They can't build any continuity, which puts England under pressure and ultimately turn the ball over, and England have released it.
And a mistake here from Ireland as well. They've taken the ball back into their own 22 and kicked it away. And it's little mistakes like that that have cost them precious territory.
Yeah, a great rip by Molly Packer there on Nicola Friday. Again, it's the second time we've seen it in the game, so maybe it's a tactic England have been working on in training, you know, to put the ball carrier under pressure. So Ireland, no doubt, will notice that, and ball carrier just being a bit stronger as they carry the ball into contact.
Well, we've got another Irish player down, injured at the moment, hence the break and play. But what a take there by Lauren Delaney. But you can see she took it just on the wrong side of the 22 line to pass it back inside. Frustration there by O'Brien. But I think the replay tells a different story.
Yeah, very fine margins, isn't it? It's just caught outside the 22, and I guess when in the speed of the game that maybe it's just a lapse in concentration as it goes out on the full.
I mean, there's some pretty painful statistics there for Irish rugby fans watching this one, Sarah. I mean, metres made by England, nearly 500 now. And the gain line success is off the charts.
It's ridiculous, and probably shows two things, like the strength and power of the ball carrier, but just the ability to stop England and having to put maybe two people into the contact.
Well, from Ireland being in this position at the other end of the field within a minute, it's England again. Powell has it. Hogan is there trying to cause an absolute nuisance of herself and has done brilliantly in the process. She is going to have to release now.
No, she's fine. Ball's there.
Ball does come away then into English hands. Powering through is Carson, fresh legs off the bench.
Take a step, take a step, take a step.
Hunt needs to try and find a way of getting that ball away. Does in the end to Aldcroft.
We have a neck roll. Number?
Well, that one was probably called in.
Number 7, neck roll.
But a warning there against Marley Packer.
Thanks, Menace.
I don't know if we're going to get a replay of that one. But you can't take someone out of the ruck and pull them to the side around the neck and shoulder area. So Ireland get to clear their lines. So this is the warning.
Just quite quick again, too. Yeah, cool. No. Oh, good.
Yeah, here you see it. Neve Jones is over the ball, and so Molly Packer has to try and get away, and she just goes, arm slips up around her neck, and obviously player safety and welfare is paramount to everything. That the referee calls a really good decision there.
You guys, you can come in.
Packer will have to be a little bit careful. Did get put in the sin bin last week against Wales. Well, I don't think that's what Neve Jones meant to do at all, but England won't mind.
Extra roll.
Can't keep rolling along the floor. Everyone likes a commando roll, don't get me wrong, you just can't do it in rugby.
No, you can't. You know, once you've been tackled, you've got to place that ball back immediately, and it comes from the pressure that Neve Jones, you know, disappointment, she's just got the line out not right, but then her attention to go on to the next thing and put Connie Powell under pressure, which ultimately leads to the penalty turnover.
Well, that's a missed touch, and here come England again. Aitchison finds Kildan. Lovely pass out wide to Ema. Just bumping away the green shirts as she goes.
Advantage! Hey, you're fine. You're fine. Your tackler has to roll. Okay. You're fine.
There's been a couple like that where Derval Nicobar thinks she's in trouble and it's someone else.
I know she's doing a great job to actually get over the ball, but unfortunately the tackler making the tackler has to roll away quicker. You see here 13 makes a tackle, but it's in the area where English players are trying to get through to get rid of Nicobar. And unfortunately they can't do that, which is why the penalty has been given to England.
Well, you probably just heard there from our referee, Vicky Owen is going to go off for Ireland. She's going to have an HI8, so there's going to be a little bit of a change up here for Ireland while she gets checked out.
No problem.
But all of this pressure has come from that mixed kick. You know, Claudia MacDonald did really well to keep the ball in, and now England are back 7 metres out from the Ireland try line.
McGann on for Ireland and straight into the fire, because here come England again. England already have 4 tries, and they're trying to find a route one.
Advantage.
There's the penalty advantage. They've got a free shot here.
Ball's not coming out of there. Sec.
Interesting what England decide to do from this position.
Number 5 in 2, collapse.
But we've got Marley Packer, I think, down injured. And quite a few players have already picked up knocks in this already. On your screen at the moment, you can see Sam Monaghan.
Maybe. Captain.
But I think that the injury they're actually concerned more about is the English injury.
Every time we're down in this field, you guys are conceding.
So this was the more before the stoppage.
It was, you know, England have gone to it a few times, and Ireland have defended it really well, but here they've been deemed to bring it down, which is an interesting decision from the referee, that if she's obviously deemed it's not going straight over, because otherwise she would give a penalty try. However, a couple of metres out, that did look like, for me, that it was going to go straight over for a try. So I think Ireland might be quite fortunate there that they have only conceded a penalty.
Well, there's going to be a brief pause in play here while they just sort out the injured players, as Monaghan continues to receive a little bit of treatment there. She said that she wanted to go across and play in the Premier 15s, particularly for Gloucester Hartpury, because she wanted to play with Zoe Aldcroft, as we can just see the England captain there, Marley Packer. You can see she's struggling with that left ankle. And that would be hugely disappointing for her. Not just her first season here as England captain, but also knowing there's Twickenham coming up next week with a record crowd.
Yeah, there absolutely is, and it's gutting again to see another player from England walk off the field like that, you know, needing help. Obviously in some pain. A lot of that will be about potentially, like you say, what's gonna come up, but she doesn't look very comfortable right there, and she's been outstanding this campaign, leading them right from the front, so she'll be a big miss right now.
Well, Zoe Aldcroft will now be England's captain. That Packer is off the field, and look at this for impact straight away. Thrown in there was Moena Talling. And that's a 5th try for England now. And what a way to come on the park. That was Talling that touched it down.
It was indeed, and you know, Moena Talling's returning from injury as well. So it is great to see her back on the pitch, and you know, first touch, and she gets a try for England, and a maul try that we didn't see any of last week, Sarah.
No, we did not. We did not. But we've got one now. Moena Talling, still only 20 years old, so young. And that is the scary thing when you talk about the Red Roses and the future they have ahead of them. It's just the depth of the talent.
It is, now that you've got rid of some old people like myself, you know, these young players coming through that just seem to be on this continuous conveyor belt is unbelievable, and that's credit to the job the RFU are doing with the pathway.
We have a conversion. It's not the kicking statistics Langi Tuma wants, but that is one on the way to more what she would like to see.
Yeah, here England have gone to the back again, you know, for a hooker. That's the hardest place to throw, but Sadia Kabe has really come into her own, the Six Nations, in a line-out jumper. She gets up there nice and easily. England are set, and Moena Talling puts the ball down at the end.
A 6th cap today, Moena Talling, probably playing a few more minutes than she was expecting to get on the field, as There's still 2.5 minutes to go here until the break in Cork.
Leave it. Hold. Take a sit.
Got to remember, England, they have scored 31 tries before they turned up here for this fixture. They're trying to hunt down a record number of tries in this Six Nations. They'll be hoping to wrap them up today. Not what Ireland want at all. Carson, strong run. Aldcroft going in to do a little bit of scrum half work, showing she really is the full package.
Hold wide. Swingers on.
Long boot from Aitchison. He did speak in the build-up to this Six Nations about how she is comfortable at fly half, and maybe that's a position she'd like to play more often. She plays at club level with Zoe Harrison, who's been the regular England fly half of late, as the ball just bobbles out on that near side. It could be an interesting contest who ends up as the England 10 in the future.
Yeah, it certainly can. You know, Holly Aitchison coming into the Six Nations has absolutely stepped into that 10 shirt and orchestrated this team brilliantly. You know, she's not unaccustomed to playing at fly half. She played there for Saracens in the Premier 15s final last year and ran the show there. So she's a wonderfully talented player, and it's something that England will be excited about.
Headgear at Musgrave Park is another level today. I am enjoying it.
Outside. Okay, great. Time's on.
Well, line-out's just a problem generally for Ireland.
Hold here.
I'm not telling anything you don't know if you've been following this match from the start. Cabea. Hunt then with the spinning pass out wide. Really nice line there on the disguise there by Tuima. Allows Dow to run through. That's 3 green shirts bringing down Abby Dow there. Hunt finds Muir. Clock is against England here if they're going to put try number 6 on the board. Kildun. And that one's gone out of play. They will have time for the line out or not. Nope, they have seen enough. Well, it has been a very one-sided first half of rugby, but also a concerning one for England with a number of big injuries, losing the likes of Hannah Bottomham and also their captain Marley Packer. But at half-time in Cork, it's Ireland 0, England 27.
And we knew England were going to score tries, didn't we, today? And they've duly delivered with 5. But Ireland actually, Maggie, yeah, look, they haven't got on the score sheet yet, but they've done pretty well in that first 40, haven't they? Given where their respective teams are in world terms.
Yeah, considering before this game, everyone's talking about Ireland were going to be poor, they shouldn't even turn up. Fair play to Ireland. They have really put England under pressure. Yes, they've conceded 5 tries, but last weekend, Ireland missed 37 tackles, and actually it's been a much improved performance so far. Obviously, we want them to put the points on the board, but I've been impressed with their ability and their attitude at the breakdown and just generally across the defence.
England just picking up where they left off last week, aren't they, Emily?
Yeah, very much so. You know, scoring 5 tries in that first half, some of them with relative ease in terms of how they're moving the ball. Again, the width they have, the speed of the ball from the breakdown, all the things that we've talked about all competition with this England side. Big players standing up. Marley Packer, gutted to see her leave the field, but prior to that, some really big involvements in the game. So, yeah, a brilliant start.
Having said that, Maggie, it was a slightly nervy start from England, wasn't it? But Ireland, my goodness, you know, I think they've also had Greg McWilliams' words ringing in their ears about defence, 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 and they were good in that first part.
Yeah, top of the show, we talked about this is the area that they can improve on. And look, the first 2 scrums, I mean, Ireland here, talk about the pressure, 5 metres out from a try line, and they win the scrum penalty. Then the second scrum here, England error, you know, engaging before the call and then giving away a free kick. You know, it just shows you here with Ireland, their scrum has actually been pretty impressive. They've really held England out and they've come away with some you know, deserved momentum, if anything. So for me, I think what I've been impressed with Ireland is that they've just not given up. but they've still got to work on certain areas. So, this is a good example, just being able to exit when appropriate. But for me, what I've also seen is that there's been England errors. So here, Aitchison doesn't make the touch, and there's a few other opportunities where England almost missed out, conceding a turnover at the breakdown. So those are things that I think England will want to almost get out of their game. But generally, as we expect from England, they improve as the game goes on.
Yeah, early jitters from England, but they seem to put that behind them. And I think, Emily, we answered the question, which England forward was going to replace Sarah Byrne in those wide channels, and the answer came pretty early, didn't it?
Yeah, it's Sarah Beckett, another Sarah. I think, it's such an important part of how England set up and just continue to keep that width and spread across the field. And, we spoke about it pre-show, not just in the back line, but actually forwards doing their part as well. And you can see here this bit, it's really good build-up play from England. You've then got a winger as first receiver, a winger as second receiver, and Sarah Beckett on the end of it in that wing channel. So again, it's just that multi-phase approach that England have, everybody hands on ball, and the ability that they have to continue to move the ball well.
Funny enough, there's one player we haven't talked a lot about in this Six Nations. It's Holly Aitchison for England at fly half, because there was no Zoe Harrison, no Helena Rowland at the start of the championship. She actually looks to the manner born for England in that 10 jersey, and it was a lovely, lovely pass, wasn't it, Maggie, that set up a try for Tatiana Hurd?
Yeah, for me, Aitchison, what I love about her, and we've touched on her briefly at the start of the show, and also Sarah Hunter's talked about it in commentary. I mean, she's just natural. She's a natural athlete. She's very smart in terms of the way she plays. She's got good rugby intelligence, but she plays a bit of fly half, obviously.
That's such a lovely flat pass there. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice the fact that she's able to bring that into an international scene. And like you've touched on there, her ability to make this really good pass. Watch this here. She misses out 3 players. I mean, and that gives an easy inroad for Tatiana Hurd with all that space, because obviously Ireland are having to work to get back to fill the space that they've just lost. So for me, I like the way Aitchison's just naturally fitting into this squad.
And I love the fact that she's been able to take the reins in the absence of, Zoe Harrison, Helena Rowland. She's not had those people around her to help or to hinder. Sometimes it's nice just to be able to take the reins yourself and run with it. And she's such a talented footballer, and she's doing a brilliant job at the moment.
Yeah, she is. Now let's move on to England's next try. This was just a great team try. You'd have loved to be in this back line, I think, wouldn't you, Emily, for this one?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a brilliant team try. They're the ones that you obviously work on all week. You have a start point, and for England, it came from that line out. It came originally, I think, from a not straight from the Irish line out, which then gives them the opportunity. And then it's just that early breakout from Marley Packer. Sarah Beckett, again, such a physical, brilliant ball carrier, hitting that angle on the angle. Tatiana Hurd in support, what an offload that was. And then again, just the recycling ability. She's back on her feet there, Sarah Beckett, to play 9. And then, look, Sarah Hunter mentioned it in commentary. You think for all money Marley Packer's going to crash over from there, but actually it's the smarts. We know England know they've got an overlap. Fix up, pass the ball, and Ellie Kildun goes in untouched.
And it's the width as well, isn't it? Like, England's really working to go from touchline to touchline. Then they use their big forwards and Tatiana Hurd as well through the middle, and then they're looking for the offloads. We didn't really see a lot of this from England, I guess, if I'm honest, during the World Cup, but we're seeing much of it now. It's almost like this variation in the way they're playing in their attack, and it's so good to see.
Yeah, so talking of Marley Packer, it wouldn't be a game really if she didn't pop up and score a try. She's actually England's leading try scorer now in the Six Nations with 6. She's just always there, isn't she? Ferreting about at the base of these rucks.
Yeah, do you know what? She is always hunting for a try, and that's what makes her such a good player. And I think what I like about what she does is that she waits the opportunity, so you can't see it here, but she's off the camera. She finds the opportunity to get out wide and then cuts these lines. And it's almost like you just can't see her coming. I mean, I've played against her many times, and there has been times when I haven't seen her coming. But she's very smart about cutting those lines, and also her handling's been really good. So a few times here in this game, I've noticed her be involved in just holding players up. And what she does here, so she held the player up, passed to Kildun. Kildun drifts across, which means that Ireland defence over chases, and there's that weak inside line, which means that MacDonald can really make a really good break. So players like Packer are so useful in what they do with their hands, as well as scoring tries, but being able to be that decoy runner or just being able to set it up for the outside players.
Just some really good recognition of Irish defenders. That one at the breakdown there, all eyes are looking at the breakdown, so she knows she's going to hit a blind spot coming on that angle. And again, the one where Claudia MacDonald and Ellie Kildun are switching, it's because all Irish defenders, hips are facing out, weak shoulders, just really good way to gain metres.
And given England have got France next, if they beat Wales on Sunday, we'll also be 4 from 4, and we know it's going to be the big Grand Slam decider. Just how disappointing for England to see both Hannah Bottoman and Marley Packer go off.
Yeah, really disappointing. I mean, we obviously hope that neither are particularly serious, but they didn't look great. I think both players are tough cookies. You know, they don't leave the field easily, but the fact that they did leave the field, I think, is worrying signs. You know, Marley Packer obviously being captain, as well as everything else that she brings in terms of, you know, her ability on the field, and obviously Hannah Bottoman just recently returning from injury herself. Yeah. Keeping our fingers crossed they aren't too serious.
And then Marley Packer's replacement was Morwenna Talling, who immediately made her presence felt, didn't she? Didn't she, Maggie?
Talk about impact off the bench. I mean, she literally makes her first touch, her first involvement in the game, and then she gets a try. So, you know, it's being able to recognise when to get on the base of that driving maul, and then finding yourself to get onto that ball and then to get over. I mean, especially when you're coming off the bench and replacing such a significant key figure like Packer, you sometimes feel like you might have to wait before you get involved in the game. But I love her attitude. She gets straight involved, and like, what a try. And that was England's first try via a driving maul, which I know Emily Scarrett absolutely loves. But it's just good to see her get involved, get back into the game. And it's important to also recognise, you know, the likes of Sardia, you know, what she's doing in the line-out as well. She gives England more options, and then, you know, the opportunity for them to drive at the back of the line-out.
Yeah, a random question now for the pair of you. Are you avid recyclers at home?
I am. Yeah. And I drive an electric car as well. There you go.
Excellent. Well done. Because it's Earth Day, and we have a member of this England team who often likes to showcase her green credentials. Let's hear from Claudia MacDonald.
I think there's loads of parallels within marginal gains between sport and sustainability. At least that's how I see it.
I'm going to show you a little bit about how I'm a little bit more sustainable and a little bit better for the planet. Today I've put the washing on, I've put my clothes in, and I'm just about to obviously put it on at 30 because that's a little bit more environmentally friendly than the hotter degrees. Don't use a tumble dryer, and the day is not so bad, it's not raining. I'm going to make coffee, and then we've got a little compost bin in the garden here that I'm going to go then put all the coffee grounds back into. Not my favourite job. I love the outdoors, but I don't really like all the spiders and the bugs. But they're full in this compost bin. This one belongs to Amber Reid, and I've borrowed it from her, and this one belongs to Tatiana Hurd, and I've borrowed that one from her. You know, if somebody is going to buy a book, just share it round, and then it gets a lot more use out of it.
Biggest changes I've made, probably around the products that I use, deodorant, body wash, all of that sort of stuff, toothpaste. They all now, for me, are quite different. There's no plastic in them, they're a bit more sustainable, sort of vegan. The testing around them is particularly good. Like for me, it's just about like a few more, just having more awareness around like the decisions you're making on a day-to-day basis and trying to be better each day, I guess. Sport is interesting because, one, it's not particularly sustainable. It has the amount of travel that it has, and there's a lot of waste in sport, you know, new shirts every single game, etc. But then I think as a platform for change, it's also really good and really, you know, really amazing way that we can affect people. Even me then talking about sustainability here, if I reach 10 people, for example, that's still 10 people that are influenced and perhaps make a few more sustainable decisions than they did otherwise. So I guess it gives a platform for voices to be heard.
And I wondered, does she make her presence felt in terms of her green credentials within the England squad, Emily?
Absolutely. Reusable coffee cups, obviously reusable water bottles. To be fair, we're quite conscious as a squad, and you know, instead of using those one-use water bottles, we try and get the big fillers so we can fill up our own. But yeah, it's she's definitely driving it.
Because it is interesting, isn't it, that in terms of rugby, it's like a fresh shirt every single game. So you know, there's small gains that sport can make to make a bit of a difference. So well done to Claudia MacDonald for setting a very positive example, it would be fair to say. Look, we've got the second half to come of Ireland against England in Musgrave Park, but there's still plenty more from the Women's Six Nations to come this weekend. And yes, 2 more matches this weekend across the TikTok Women's Six Nations. It's Scotland-Italy later today on the iPlayer. Can Scotland lift themselves off the foot of the table? That's a 4:30 kickoff. And then on Sunday, it's the big one really, isn't it? As far as France are concerned, can they join England? Well, England aren't. Well, they're going to win this potentially, aren't they? But, you know, are they going to be 4 from 4 at the end of this weekend? They play Wales, that's a 3 o'clock kickoff. And then we've got Rugby League, haven't we, in Halifax against Bradford. That's at 6:50 tonight. And also the Women's Football Show. That's tomorrow at 11:30 on BBC One and the iPlayer. Yeah, all roads seem at this stage to be pointing to winner takes all at Twickenham next weekend. Really interesting this. So what is it, 27-0 at half-time? It was 69-0 overall at Welford Road a year ago between England and Ireland. From what you've seen of the Irish in this first half, Maggie, can you see progress made? Because it's very difficult when they're not getting the results. Can you see some small gains for them over the course of this championship?
I can, but they are small gains. And you've got to remember, this side is going through its evolution. They didn't qualify for the last Rugby World Cup, so they've not had much rugby as many other teams have had who were qualified for the World Cup last year. And a lot of their players are in sevens as well. So we're seeing small improvements. I think it's really hard. You know, people would say improvement is when you see winning of games, lots of tries scored. And we haven't really seen that from this Ireland side. So I guess we will see the true improvement in this side as the next, obviously the last game of the round will be key for them, and the one which they hope they win.
Emily, when you went professional, how quickly did it make a difference to you as an athlete?
It takes time, to be completely honest with you. You know, there's so many things in your life that change as an individual and coming together, obviously, as a team as well. It does definitely take a little bit of time, but they're on the path now, and hopefully, you know, they'll get there.
OK, well, we'll have the second half very shortly. Probably, as far as England concerned, we might just see them crossing that whitewash again.
Well, the time for talk is over. It's just 15 women against 15 playing a sport that they all love. Beckett with the touchdown in the corner, 2 minutes on the clock. It's still Tatiana Hurd. She scored in every game. Having not scored a try in an England shirt until this Six Nations, she now can't stop. Ball back inside, and it's the captain. Packer goes over.
Ireland's just emerging then from the tunnel at Musgrave Park. England already out, raring to go. So let's go back to our commentary team, Sarah Hunter and Sarah Orchard.
Oh, big face there in the crowd in the former Ireland captain Brian O'Driscoll watching on. Good to see all of the Irish rugby family out in support of their women's players.
Okay.
So England getting us underway in this second half. They've got a very clear lead in this match, 27 points up. Ireland yet to fire a shot. The concerning thing, of course, will be the scoreline from last year when this match was played at Welford Road in England. That one ended up 69-0, and England didn't have so many points on the board as Kildun juggles that one, and Ireland have a chance. Oh, big push back there for Derval Nekavard. She made a bit of a name for herself in the Celtic Challenge. That was the development league that's been put together between Ireland, Wales and Scotland. A nice little touch through there by Ireland, forcing England to turn. They haven't had to do that so far. Has it slightly gone too far? Kildun touches down. She didn't take it over.
Make sure they're behind you.
Yeah, really positive start for Ireland here, you know. Getting that turnover and just looking to play a little bit, stretch their legs, and they'll get the ball back from this.
So it's a goal line dropout for England. Taken cleanly by Delaney. She has got support alongside her through O'Brien. Sends it straight back, and Aitchison hasn't dealt with that one. It's still going. She's being chased down by O'Brien.
Goal line dropout.
England almost looking a bit nervy, Sarah Hunter.
No, they probably maybe haven't come out in woken straight up just yet for the second half, but just intrigued to see why Ireland kick the ball away when they've got possession. They haven't had much possession, and I just like to see them keep it in hand a little bit more and go through the phases.
Monaghan. Support arrives. Scuffle McCabe looking for her options. It's Hogan. Doesn't want to take it into contact, trying to keep it live. O'Brien again.
Ball's out.
One is out, and so Powell was within her rights to do that. In the end, it's Buggy who comes in with the distribution. Monaghan goes again.
Take a sip.
Scuffle McCabe. O'Brien, they go back inside. The captain Friday has it. She gets pushed back for money there by Matthews. Nice little touch on the ball there for Ireland, but again, they're not really penetrating this white wall. If anything, it's going backwards right now as Derval Nikavard tries to get it away to Doyle. She had a lovely run in the first half.
Hold.
Monaghan did just manage to get a boot on that ball. And England have it again. All of the effort there from Ireland, and look at Tatiana Hurd just pumping through.
Take a step, 5.
Back then to Aitchison, who has stood a little bit deeper there to make sure she could get this one away. You can just see that crumb of this pitch just bouncing up into the air. O'Brien again, she thinks she can see a little bit of space, and she's quite happy to pepper away at Holly Aitchison. She's almost targeting her at times as a little bit of footwork comes in from Aitchison. You can tell that she had a good pedigree in sevens. Still O'Brien. Gets the ball out. Hogan can't control.
Offside.
And after all of that, it ends with Ireland offside. England get the penalty and frustration.
Yeah, I think a lot of frustration from Ireland there, you know. They were making good ground there, like putting kicks in behind. See Holly Aitchison just use her footwork to beat the defender. And they get the ball back, but again, it just comes back down to little errors. You know, Sadia Kabea gets out of the line, probably gets in the eyesight of Brittany Hogan there, which causes her to put doubt in her mind. You know, you can see she's going for the pass. She probably should have carried, ultimately knocks the ball over, and England get the ball, and then to compound the error, Ireland then give the penalty away.
Great idea there to pressure Holly Aitchison. She was targeted a couple of times there by Ireland. Aitchison herself, as we said, she's played quite a bit of sevens in her time. Only made her 15s debut for England in 2021, quite famously, when they took on New Zealand. She was wearing 13 that day.
Take a sip. Take a sip.
Now playing 10 and continues to grow in the white shirt. Beckett, who's now got a heavily strapped ankle. England don't want any more injuries after they lost their captain Marley Packer in the first half. Also Hannah Botman. McDonald there, that's a lovely line by McDonald. She's looking for support, but that's really well read in the end by Behan. She manages to get it away. She trapped the player so well there. England keep on thinking they can just get ahead, and Ireland have an answer, but that one's gone straight out. And Claudia McDonald's had a couple of mistakes now in this fixture, and I'm not quite sure how much she's enduring it.
Yeah, you see here, she makes a great break fence, and you can just see that the Ireland player there, and I just think you've probably just got to take that phase. You know, when you can see an Ireland player in between your England players, that the likelihood of getting that ball to her is probably unlikely. And then I think just again trying to probably make amends for that mistake to put Ireland back under pressure, get the ball behind them, and unfortunately it goes straight into touch out on the full.
Is it towards the half?
Well, it's going to be an Ireland line out here, and there is no disguising what is turning into a little bit of a nightmare for Niamh Jones at this Irish line out. There will be a lot of pressure off the back of this. I mean, McDonald's a player there feeling pressure, but Jones as well.
Yeah, you can see
Time is still off.
Ireland struggled last week. They lost 6 out of their 11 lineouts last week, and the same here this week. You say they've won 3, but those 3 have been pretty scrappy as well, and it's a real area of concern from them. You saw a lot of conversation being told to Niamh there, hopefully giving a bit more instruction about where this ball's going to go.
Well, it's going long towards the back. It wasn't the cleanest of passes, and it's England who managed to suck it up through Connie Powell. It's going to be more line-out homework for Ireland this week in the build-up to that big match they've got on the final day. They're going to be away against Scotland. Could have a huge amount of significance, the result of that match. There'll be a lot of talk about that new international women's competition coming in called WXV and the different tiers that all the teams will end up in as Kildun continues.
Ball's out. Take a sit. Hold, hold.
Well, Claudia McDonald's played quite a bit of scrum half in her time, so no problem with the distribution there. There's no scrum half now. Hunt back to her feet. Maud Muir, Hunt, Aitchison, Powell. Well, that was well won in the end by Ireland. England not happy to deal with the ball. A little bit of afters there as well. Apologies for any language, you might have just heard that.
Yeah, Niamh Jones and Connie Powell know each other very well. Both hookers, both at Gloucester Hartpury, so they're going head-to-head today. And whilst Niamh Jones is struggling at line-out time, she's certainly making up for it in the area, getting over the ball there.
Yeah, saying Niamh Jones there, she plays at Gloucester Hartpury. She's a hooker here for Ireland. We've seen already that Connie Powell's a Gloucester Hartpury hooker. If you've been watching Wales recently, you know there's another hooker there in Kelsey Jones. That's a lot of international hookers at one club.
It is, you know, and Sean Lynn has certainly got his work cut out to manage them all. They've been on a rotation policy throughout the league so far, but as we head towards the back end of the competition, he's probably going to have some decisions to make around who will be his first choice hooker.
As Ireland just clear that ball away, they're going to line up another line out for Jones here, and she does often end up playing in the back row sometimes.
Yeah, she does, as do all of them actually, but you think when a line out's struggling, go with tempo, try and beat the opposition there, so actually you can go before they're set. They've gone to the front there, which is probably a really wise idea, really smart to get in and get up before defence can get there.
Well, the big cheer went up there because the line-out functioned. The problem is what's happening afterwards. They need to get that ball moving forwards, not backwards. A little bit of electricity just going around the crowd there each time that Aoife Doyle puts her hands on the ball. O'Brien unable to take that one cleanly, so Christy Haney steps up. Only her second test start. Her first was against France earlier on in the Six Nations. Well, from a line-out that was on the halfway, Ireland had to do something different there, and it's Kildun who has it for England. And she's running circles at the moment around these Irish players. Niamh Jones is the one who grabs her in the end. Cabea.
No.
Aitchison manages to look down the line. Allcroft heard, and that's just lost on the floor there by Talling. Nice hack on in the end by Doyle, who is really looking live to everything at the moment for Ireland. A lot of stuff that is looking good for anything green seems to come through Doyle, and Ireland have a penalty as well. Lots of slaps and encouragement there.
Yeah, it just comes from Tatiana's sort of error in her pass, you know, really struggling for Moana Talent to pick that up off her toes. And the kick through by Doyle, and then the turnover, they really look the second half to be really attacking the English breakdown. You know, it's got to be a key area that where you're going to stop them. It's going to stop them from getting quick ball, and we've seen that in this half here.
Well, Doyle was one of the players who's survived really over the years. She was a winner when Ireland last won the Six Nations back in 2015. She's been away, she's been playing a lot of sevens, but now back focusing on the 15-a-side game again. Well, no one scored a point yet in this second half. And could they come from Ireland? The body positions from both sides to try and get this moving in the direction that they want is huge. Everyone desperately trying to hold on to their bind.
Out now, six, out.
It does come away, an Irish ball. O'Brien takes it in. Monaghan. Scuffle McCaig finds the captain Friday. They need it quicker, they don't want it slow.
Advantage.
Really good work there by Scuffle McCabe. She made that penalty, she knew where the white player was. Monaghan again.
New advantage.
That's another advantage then for Ireland. They've got 2 to choose from. Moore. Grace Moore plays her rugby at Saracens. She'll know a lot of these England players today. As round the corner comes Hogan. Well, running in there was Aoife Dalton from the back line, just to add a little bit more to the effort as they try and just hack through.
Cool, so we've got an offside in the middle of the field here, or we've got a tackle not roll from 8. Okay.
Yeah, great pressure building from Ireland, you know, going through the phases, that maul that got them, you know, really smart play to keep going to the front. You know, the last 2 lineups have won. They've got Nicola Friday coming to win it. Just forcing England to make errors, you know, they're not rolling away quick enough, which just allows now Ireland to be 5 metres out, and let's see what they can do here with the maul, which has been successful once they've won their line out.
Well, if ever there was pressure on a line out, and there's been a lot of pressure on Ireland's line out so far, it's this one right here, 5 metres out from the England line. There's a hand in there from England. Not to be, and they will ship this as quick as they can. McDonald took that one. It was a tough take as well, as Kildun has it. She sends it forward.
9, you're in front.
Well, that's going to be offside.
Number 9. Mark's here.
Yeah, it gives Ireland another chance, you know, when you need your line out to function as 5 metres out, and they just seem to revert away from where they've been successful. You know, like I said, the last 2 line-outs, they'd won at the front, and they just seem to go to the back. And Sadia Kabea, up she popped in and got the turnover in a vital position for Ireland. But they've got another shot. We'll see where they go this time.
Scrum here.
Well, that's another mistake there from Ireland. Yes. So frustrating. So that one went out. So they're going to have to now have a scrum.
12 and 13.
And it's simple execution. If you're not confident of getting it that close to the post, as these players now come on for England, I mean, this is what's worrying, is that when England make the changes, they're just bringing on Amber Reid, Helena Rowland. Also coming onto the field is Delaney Burns. It's just more strength for England.
Yeah, it certainly is. And when Ireland start to fatigue, you've got the likes of Reid, Rowland coming on with wealth of experience that will just raise their intensity levels again, and will be really good. They're both coming back from injury, especially Helena Rowland, who hasn't played since the semi-final of the World Cup. Yeah, it'll be good to see where they're at.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
That is a huge shove from England, and that was an easy decision for our referee.
Not saying square. Not saying square.
Yeah, it was. We've spoken about how Ireland's scrum has been their strength. England will probably been frustrated with their scrum in the first half, and that they sure meant business there. You know, they just went real square, real hard, and yeah, got the penalty to put Ireland under pressure once again.
Captain. Yes. Okay.
You can see the big push there.
Hold the ball, Maria. Hold the ball. Hold the ball. And captain, you know, captain.
Well, I'm just checking here with you, Sarah Hunter, because I'm not actually sure that Zoe Allcroft has gone off, so I don't know who the England captain is now. Do you?
That's a great question. I don't.
We'll try and see if we can figure it out as we go. We'll send a message to someone who's down pitch side to find out for us. The ball just goes long over the top there. Niamh Jones says, thank you very much, I'll have that. Nicola Friday.
No, leave it!
It may well be Amber Reid. That would be my
That's your guess.
My guess.
Right then. Well, Ireland, they go through these passages where they have this possession, and the problem is they're just not going over the gain line. Friday. Monaghan. They can hold on to it, it's just backwards.
It's just relentlessness from England to get off the line, get forward. You see the line speed there. They've got to the gain line before Ireland have, which means there's only one way Ireland are going to go, and that's backwards, coupled with loose balls. And it makes it really hard for Ireland to make any ground when they're attacking.
Well, and it often results to that solution of O'Brien having to send it down to Ireland and Kildunn saying, OK, let's go. Well, offside from the kick as well, which does absolutely no favours to Ireland. The big positive in all of this so far, despite Ireland, that they are playing better, but they're going backwards a lot of the time, there's been no score yet in this second half.
Yeah, there hasn't. You know, that we're 15 minutes in and neither team has scored. So Ireland will take that as a win, no doubt. England will be frustrated that, like, errors have crept into their game. They haven't really clicked in this second half, and we'll be looking as the remainder of this game to make sure that they start to gel in, probably get more points on the board.
Well, Joe Brown, who just came on there for Grace Moore, who you can see is going off the field now.
I just want to have a quick chat.
Joe Brown won 7 caps for England in her time. You'll have played alongside her.
Yeah, played alongside her at England and for Loughborough Lightning as well, so know Joe very well.
Both teams, yeah, absolutely.
There we go, Amber Reid talking to the referee.
Amber Reid, the England captain, then, as both sides just been called in to have a little bit of a word.
Number 12 or 12? Yes, 12. Yeah.
Well, there you go. They're in a huddle on both sides, having a little bit of a word. Warnings being given. Pow. Well, that one's not found the target, but Carson was alive to it.
Take a step.
Will England start fizzing again as Powell takes it into contact? Talling. Hunt happy to keep that ball in the centre of the field as Rowland goes on. It's a big moment for Rowland getting involved here.
Two through the middle.
Injured for England in their World Cup semi-final. Hunt again. Aitchison. There is Rowland. A lot of questions at the moment about what position Helena Rowland will finally settle into. She's played in a number of positions now across the back line for England. Hunt manages to find Cabea, still hungry for work. And England looking for try number 6 right now. Muir. Aitchison, she thinks there's space out there, slightly overcooked the delivery.
Didn't go. Okay, so scrum.
And they will come back.
Yeah, for me, that's one where you probably just got to keep it in hand. You've created pretty much an overlap there, so I can see the vision and the ambition to do it, but when you've got your back three that are running out and the form that they're in, I just think maybe simple hands would have been enough. If you don't convert you retain the ball, you play again, and you probably go to your power play with the forwards start going through. So these are the little things creeping in, which is probably why England haven't scored any points in the second half.
Are you happy for scrum stuff to come through me as opposed to Nick? 100%. Absolutely. We just watched for the loose hips popping. Yep. Just as all we noticed. Oh, good. So it's all straight. Thank you, Mum.
Well, there you go. A few more conversations going into the referee about what everyone wants to see at the scrum as well, as Natasha Hunt leading the chat there for England.
Okay, girls. Perfect.
Thoughts will start going very soon to England's final game in this campaign, which will be against France. Quite famously now, it's going to be at Twickenham, the first ever standalone Red Roses game at Rugby HQ. It will be Simon Middleton's final game in charge as well. Most importantly, though, the Sugar Babes are playing.
They are.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah, they are indeed. Looking forward to the half-time entertainment, which will hopefully match what the game will provide for us. You know, it's a world record crowd already. Over 50,000 tickets have been sold, and you know, who knows how many will be sold in the final week. But it's a great occasion for all to be involved in.
I'm looking forward to seeing your world-renowned dance moves. I've been told a lot about them, Sarah Hunter.
They'll be certainly behind closed doors.
Right then, Ireland with the restart then from the 22. Oh, Dowd just keeps her tiptoes inside of the whitewash there. Hunt manages to find Sarah Beckett, who is playing this game like it's her last. Very impressive today.
Play backwards.
And there was all sorts of knees and things flying in there on the floor.
Offside.
So Ireland are getting their opportunities there. Maud Muir herself still only 21 years old. This is actually her first start since the Rugby World Cup final. O'Brien there with a slightly safer, we have to say, kick than the last time she went for touch.
Yeah, she probably just wants to get it out so they can try and get something from the line out. Maud Muir probably just overrunning the ball there a little bit, trying to catch it behind her. Again, another frustration just creeping in, and then the knock-on to someone who's picked it up in front, which just led to the penalty, which has probably compounded the error.
Jones, Friday has the ball, and they get it away quickly through Derval Nekavard. Well, Belvedere and Munster players done well. Already a penalty.
Okay, thank you.
And she's still going. All the people excited to see where she goes with her rugby career as O'Brien goes forward. And they're going to come back for that penalty. Would there be any temptation here, Sarah, as a captain at some point to look at the post for Ireland just to get something on the board, or is it just pointless when a team is that far ahead?
I think it's really difficult. We're not in the position Ireland have been in the last few weeks. For me, you'd be looking at tries, but for them, getting some points against England might be a real positive, and it's probably something that they've spoken about in the week, so their leadership team know exactly what they want to do when they get into these situations.
Well, again, a player nobody wants to see go off the field there is Derval Nekavard. Yes. This was her last run. Okay. But you can just see there that twist of the shoulder. We said she made a name in that new tournament, the Celtic Challenge, created by Scotland, Wales and Ireland. It's designed as a tournament basically as the stepping stone up to international rugby. She really impressed in that. A number of other players as well.
Time's on.
Might get to see Syed McGrath come off the bench shortly for Ireland as well. She was another one that really stood out.
Yeah, she's been a real shining light in this Ireland team. Regardless of how the game's going, she's been relentless, and she's just worked all the way through the game, defending and especially ball in hand.
Bit of a tussle there in the air, but...
Jumping across.
And Ireland are getting the rub of the green here now, and I think England have to be a little bit careful. There's a number of penalties now, a succession of them.
Yeah, you've just got to be careful when you go from the line out to compete for the ball. You can't go across the mark and you can't make contact with the opposite jumper. So, yeah, just have to be real careful. That balance of wanting to compete. So you see Alex Matthews goes up. She's linked the arm of Nicola Friday, made contact in the air, and it's an easy decision for the referee to give.
Well, Haney gives the whisper to Jones, through the fingertips, and once again, it's a familiar story. Sarah Byrne onto the field and powering on. Beckett, lovely offload as well in the tackle as Matthews now goes forward. England just need quick ball. Out it comes in the end to Rowland. She straightens, but it bounces off Dow. You don't see that often. And it's advantage to Ireland. Well played in the end by Behan, who was right up in Dow's face. Monaghan. England's silenced so far in this second half by Ireland.
Guys, it's no advantage. Great.
Yeah, they'll be frustrated by the errors that have crept in this second half, you know. It is something you're not accustomed to, you know, the ball to Abby Dow, and normally you see Abby Dow in those moments catching the ball and running through about 5 defenders, but she probably just hasn't got her hands up quick enough or taken an eye off it, which has just allowed it to hit her in the face.
Greg McWilliams looking on with John McKee. I know that this has been an improved performance in the second half, but thoughts already going perhaps to that final match against Scotland. Will be the final match of the final game of this Women's Six Nations, Scotland against Ireland. It's a 7:30 kickoff, that one, at the Down Health on Saturday, week today. O'Brien then, just trying to make sure she gets her runners. There's Behan, support coming from Delaney. Behan just dives on the ball, but not cleanly, so Kildun still has it for England. Well, it's loose.
14.
Well, warning there for Doyle.
On the 5.
Just Ireland, you know, they've got good possession and they've just again kicked it away. And then not only that, they've then compounded an error once again and given a really easy out for England. You know, they've been putting them under pressure. It looked like a really good attacking option, and there I can see what Delaney's trying to do, but you just think, let's try and keep possession. Let's try and build some momentum in England's 22.
Well, ball away. Down on the floor goes Byrne. Sarah Byrne has been spending a lot of this Six Nations hanging out on the wing. Doing it in quite impressive style as well. Crossfield kick comes in the end. Not quite crossfield, more down the middle of it from Aitchison. Couple of knock-ons in there.
And then by White. White scrum. Okay.
This really has been a scrappy game from both sides, and I don't think either side, you know, England highly likely to win it despite them not scoring a point yet in this second half, but I don't think either side are going to come away at all satisfied.
No, certainly not. You know, you look at Ireland, they've had 3 opportunities 5 metres out from the England try line and haven't secured their own line out to put pressure on. They've had opportunities, their missed tackle count, the unforced errors, and then you look at like England will disappoint at 24 minutes into a second half and haven't scored a single point in this, and it's come relatively from like errors of their own doing, you know, forced passes or like not getting bored of what they're doing. They just need to stay on task and go through their process, which I'm sure they spoke about, and it's certainly something that will frustrate them, and they will need to make sure that they look out ahead of the France game next week.
Well, that's Elsa Hughes, who's come on now for Ireland. She's got no number on her back. She wouldn't have been expecting to play in this fixture. Nicole Cronin picked up an injury in the warm-up. Huge frustration for Cronin because she'd only just come back from injury. Never actually made it onto the park. There's another change at scrum half as well, this time for England, as Hunter's now gone off, and on in her place is Lucy Packer. And that one's gone forward through England. Hughes then with the distribution. Monaghan takes it on.
Hold here.
Hughes with the ball back to O'Brien. Must remember that O'Brien as fly half for Ireland. She's only 19 years old. She actually played for Ireland before she played for Leinster. Young woman on a big stage with a big boot on her as well. Carson. Packer. Reed with the distribution in the end. Managed to get the ball back from down. Now to Packer. Kildunn waits for a few more players to arrive. Davis. Just hanging out in the middle there was Reed. Cabea. You can see the frustration as she rolls over there. She knew that the ball went forward. Recognises her own mistake.
Green 6.
Next job.
Yeah, it just looked, and I know we'll see on our replay, but it just looked like she tried to force an offload maybe, which has then led to this. You look at the handling errors there by England, 11, which for them will be really frustrating here. You see she's made the tag. She looks to get to the ground and to offload it. The way the game's been going, that's one you just need to keep a hold of, to place it back, to go through an extra phase. Because this is what's creeping in, this is what's adding to the frustration, this is what's allowing Ireland back into the game.
Well, Hannah O'Connor there, you can see they're fresh onto the field. Made a debut back in 2019.
Okay.
Leinster woman.
Okay.
And again, another forward who can kick. They're not averse to this in Ireland. I do believe there's quite a famous kicking video that does the rounds between Emily Scarrett and Hannah O'Connor on the internet, if you ever want to watch it. Find out who comes up on top of that one. Did you ever kick, Sarah Hunter?
Absolutely not. Probably went further backwards than it would do forwards.
You never played around in training and thought I'll just have a couple of conversions here or there, anything like that?
Bones!
Probably caused myself an injury.
Set!
Wow, what a scrum from England. Ireland had done so well to get that one out, and O'Brien sends it away. That's a great kick away as well. Dowd does gather. Runs out of pitch, and that is really good work there by Maeve Deely. And as soon as I say that, it's been held by England.
That's a real skill by Nicola Bard, you know, as the scrum's going backwards at a rate of knots to get that ball out. Yeah, it's really impressive. And unfortunately, Abby Dow kick, and then the turnover to redeem herself from it. But again, just that frustration creeping in. Here, she takes it on, breaks one person, that offload, you know, which isn't necessary. Just keep a hold of it.
Here comes another English attack. Remember, they have not scored a try in this second half. But is this the breakaway? Rowland, fresh legs onto the field, gets the pass in the way to Kildunn. They do get their try, but it has been a long time coming for them.
Team will be chipping it. They will be.
It's Kildunn who goes over. That's her second of the fixture.
Yeah, and I think you've just heard that the TMO might be checking this for a potential forward pass.
Guys, time's off. There's no try. It is a forward pass. We come back. No try. Thanks, Manners.
Well, Ellie Kildunn looking very confused there.
So, guys, that ball's gone forward, so it's no try. Okay.
Every time there's a breaking play.
Yeah, we'll just see the replay here.
Yep. Sarah Byrne getting her hands free. But there, you can see her hands have gone forward. Helena Rowlands just run onto it, and right call for me. She's struggling to get her hands free. She manages to, but as she's doing that extra split second to take an extra step forward has meant that the ball's gone forward here. You can see the way that her hands finish, and Helena Rowlands in front of that, just from that very slight delay.
Forward pass.
Well, it proved then for Ireland. Kildunn still confused. Don't worry, it wasn't anything you did. Ellie Kildunn actually started out playing a bit of rugby league before she
Guys,
moved
unfortunately,
into
she's not
Rugby
part of the
Union.
scrum, so we do need
Nothing
to
wrong
play.
with playing a bit of Rugby League, is there, Sarah Hunt? It's how you started out?
Absolutely. I think we've seen a lot of crossovers between league and union, and it certainly, for me anyway, embedded the foundations and the skill set needed for a rugby player of any code.
Crouch! Bind!
I have you, Christy. I fucking have you, Christy.
Set!
Oh, that big push again from England. That's
Advantage.
only going to be a penalty. It's still going and kept in at the back there by Alex Matthews the whole time.
Pulling out, not staying square.
That's not easy either.
Absolutely not, and I think, you know, they've just come to life in the second half in the scrum, and, you know, Catherine Buggy got herself into all sorts of difficult positions, getting picked up there by her opposite number and to get the scrum, and we'll see if England can convert this pressure and maybe just click into some sort of rhythm and continuity as they see out the last 10 minutes of the game.
Well, England only lost one line out so far. That's not clean. Lucky that there was someone to do a bit of a tidying job there as Reid goes forward. Loose ball, that's come off feet.
The knee, play on!
Packer, Aitchison, Byrne, still Byrne. She's going to be very careful about offloading after what happened last time. Burns. Packer again. Big running through by Carson. Packer looks up, McDonald was there. Dow pass out to Cabella, there's McDonald. Close, but not quite, needs more forward power. Beckett stopped short. Carson. England going to have to test all their patience as it's Reid. Finally, the phases come together, and England do get their 6th try.
It just shows you what England can do when they keep it really simple and recycle the ball. You know, there's nothing fancy about any of that in the build up to this try. You know, good hands from Sadia to Claude. She's kept the ball. This is what I meant in this first half and early second half. They were forcing that pass. You know, recycled. Holly Aitchison with that Amber Reid coming on that short line, really strong, really direct to get the try in. Maybe now in this last sort of 8-9 minutes of the game, you'll see England revert back to that simple rugby that when they do it so well, it's really unstoppable.
Roland, first attempt is good. And here we go. This was the effort again. Amber Reid, we have to say, quite an incredible rugby journey that she's had as well. Another player who missed out on the Rugby World Cup and has had a huge amount of injuries as well in her time. She was actually told at one point to quit rugby, but managed to find a way and rest her body in a way that she could continue.
Yeah, she's an incredible person. You know, she's been so unfortunate with injuries throughout her whole entire career, but to keep coming back, to keep finding a way, especially when you're told that you should probably stop, is a credit to her. And she's a fantastic player, and it's great to see her back out again, injured in that first game.
Packer with the pass back to Aitchison, who's manages to find the Irish back three, and it's actually O'Brien who takes it on this time. And you have to say that they've dealt pretty well with the kicks that have come down towards them. O'Connor. In the end, Hughes with the pass out. Fresh legs from Brown. Right over the top of that from England. That's Amber Reid in there straight away.
Holding.
Yeah, Amber Reid's renowned for this, you know. Several times she's got way more turnovers than back row players, but it's the great chop tackle that allows Amber Reid to get in there, and she goes on ball and lifts it, and there's only one decision the ref's going to make in that situation.
Well, anyone who was talking in the build-up to this fixture that this might be 100-0, it's fair to say Ireland have turned up today. You might be looking at that scoreline if you just joined us and thinking, oh, that's pretty one-sided. Yes, it is, but it's not as one-sided as many expected it to be. Burns. And given her opportunity in an England shirt in this Six Nations. Keen to take it and impress as Dow comes away. Knows to stay away from the side, and that is out. Really good work there by Lauren Delaney to make sure that Dow was pushed onto the line.
You can see how much it means to her as well. Like Abby Dow in these situations has shown that she just runs through defenders, but Delaney gets herself nice and square, gets her nice and low, and just doesn't stop. You know, the leg drive to get her into touch. They'll tell real confidence from that.
Lauren Delaney, fascinating character. She's actually a nutritionist at Sale, where she plays her rugby. She's a nutritionist for the men's side. She's previously a nutritionist for Leeds Rhinos as well. Very well respected in the industry. Here comes Hughes. She has put her foot onto the pedal and she's got support. More green shirts need to arrive, and it's Hughes who's back on her feet with the distribution. Can they get that out wide? There's numbers out there. Not taken clearly in the end by McGann. Monaghan. Oh, alive to it though. England once again. Sarah Byrne and O'Brien managed to force that one. It's a knock-on. And Ireland do have their opportunities.
Yeah, they do. You know, that break, as we see here from Elisa Hughes, that came on, you know, that break. Nicola Bard on the shoulder of her, she's been outstanding. She's got real pace. They get in behind the England defence, but then they just falter with their skill set that forces them to take the ball back. And Sarah Byrne gets in over on the ball, and it is a bit scrappy from both sides at the minute.
Well, Sarah Beckett in there, just giving her little bits of wisdom to the side. Holly Aitchison as well. And it is Sarah Beckett who is the TikTok Women's Six Nations Player of the Match. And you have to say, she has not stopped. She's earned that.
She's been outstanding from minute one, whether that's making busts through the middle, whether that's making defensive carries. You know, she's been everywhere in today's game, especially with that strapped ankle. You know, there's going to take a lot to get her off the pitch, but she's been outstanding all over and thoroughly deserves the Player of the Match award.
Yeah, and this is Beckett's first start of this Six Nations. She's previously come off the bench. You tend to see her more of the number 8. That was the position that she won the Premier 15s with Harlequins before she moved to Gloucester Hartbury. But again, the scrum. The English scrum in this second half has been something to behold.
It has, and it probably just shows you the strength and depth of the two sides, especially the front rows. You know, when you've got the likes of Locke Davies, Mackenzie Carson, Sarah Byrne coming on with the wealth of experience, especially Sarah Byrne and Locke Davies have, it's going to be a pretty tough day, and they just drive really straight and really powerful through and get that penalty.
Well, the clock is starting to count down now to the 80 in Cork as we get to see a breakaway through Talling, and it's to Sarah Byrne. She's just running along with Irish players hanging off her. Cabert with a nice pass to Matthews, straight under the posts. 7 tries now for England. They'd already eased away, but they found a little bit of rhythm in this last 10 minutes.
It has, and they've just reverted to doing the simple things really well. You know, they've won that scrum penalty, they've kicked for corner, the lineouts function. You see they break out here, just a bit of variation. Ireland probably think they're going to drive. Moena Talling makes a great break, off loads to Byrne, who drives, and then Alex Matthews is there on the next phase under the post. It's that great tip on by Sadi Kabea. All the defenders are on her, and Alex Matthews comes full speed, and there's no stopping her from that far out.
Alex Matthews, a 2014 Rugby World Cup winner in that squad with England. There's not many of them left now. Marley Packett, she was another one on the team sheet that day in Paris. But Not many left now, Sarah Hunter.
No, there's not a few, obviously. Natasha Hunt, Amber Reid, two others that have been out there today, but the few and far between now.
I believe there's just under 2 minutes left. Okay.
There you go, late change there for Ireland. You just saw flash up on your screen. Christy Haney has come off and Syed McGrath is now on. See if that makes any impact on the scrum at all.
Yeah, just check.
There's O'Brien there, just waiting to decide what Ireland can do as they defend off this English scrum. Lucy Paco's got her hands on the ball there. She did play sevens for Wales before she committed to England in 15s. So she's never regretted her decision.
Ball's there, use it.
And when she went on to start the World Cup final, you can understand why, as the ball comes away now through English hands, lost forward in the end by Kildunn.
It's no advantage.
And there is time for one more play.
Yeah, that probably just sums up how England have played today, you know, just unforced errors creeping in. That's just stunted their attacking platform that we've seen like really flourish in other games.
Rowland then making sure that that ball gets off the field. So 10 seconds on the clock. 7 tries for England. They would like an 8, but Ireland would like to get something on the board. Davis finds Matthews. Ball straight away by Talling. Byrne in the middle of the field, almost falling over her own feet and trying to use her power.
Lost 8, leave it 8. Yes, sir.
Packer.
All good.
Popped off ball, it's Matthews again. England closing in on the Irish line. This would be the icing on the cake. Aitchison straightens. Packer looks up, Cabella calling for it, wanting it.
Pause. No. Yeah.
Well, it's a penalty for England, so free hit here for something.
Pause.
Ball comes away, that was Byrne, now Dow, and she's given it away to Ireland. And there's been a few of them today from England.
There has. It's just that balance of making a decision about when to give the offload or when to take it in. And I think today England at times have just forced it when it's not been on. I guess in this situation, they knew the advantage was coming. They knew they had a free shot. But I think, like you said, it's been throughout the game today.
Yeah, gotcha. I think.
Well, the clock has gone red. And they'll be allowed to play this because it's a penalty. Ireland know they have one last shift to do. It's not to say that they won't get a little bit of a breakaway, and you can just see England there, just taking their time, breathing in. Is that something that, when you were in the side, you were encouraged to do sometimes, just to take a moment, take a breath?
Yeah, I think it's something we looked to bring in, like when we came into huddle. It's just to take a breath before any message was delivered. So whoever was delivering it, or if you had something to say, you could really focus in on what that message was going to be. And it's something that is quite clearly still a big part of those stoppages that they have within a game.
England scrum. They split the backs either side.
Crouch.
Whenever the ball next goes dead, that is the end of the game.
Binds. Yes. Set.
Another huge push from England. I mean, they're still going through Matthews, still going. She's controlling round the corner. That's on the line. Try number 8. That will be the end of the game.
Tries there. On the
and
line.
Alex Matthews scores again.
Yeah, that's it. That's the game.
Yeah, she does, and she'll be thanking front row and second rows for that, you know. But it's an incredible skill set to be able to control the ball going full speed like that, especially when it's twisting and turning in front of you and you're not quite sure how far to the line. But for the English scrum to go that far, you know, it's not a 5 metre pushover by any stretch of the imagination. And then the control for Alex to pick the ball up and to power over is brilliant there.
Helena Rowland then with the last actions of this match. Everyone thinking about going to the fun fair afterwards. And that is it. Well, it was always expected to be an England win, but I don't think anyone was expecting it to be such a tough afternoon. But it is Twickenham now calling for the Red Roses. The Grand Slam is on. Ireland, plenty of thinking still to do. Plenty of changes in how they operate and work. No doubt will be going on behind the scenes. As England just give each other their congratulations, Ireland as well. Sadia Kabir happy there. And all of the sides just knowing one round left to go. Well, both sides just making their ways off the field. But full time in Cork. Ireland 0, England 48.
And hugs all round, really, for Ireland, because they've kept England there to their lowest points tally of this entire championship, because as Sarah alluded to, there was talk that they were going to be in for a very difficult afternoon. So it's really well done to Ireland. I know it's still a big score in the context of the match, but how frustrated, actually, first of all, will England be, Emily?
Yeah, second half especially. I think, you know, at least 14 unforced errors throughout the game. Second half, just giving away penalties, forced into that by Ireland, definitely, but just a little bit loose with some of the skills, catch-pass stuff, just weren't as clinical and not as used to the England that we're used to seeing. I think we ended up with 18 unforced errors, actually, in the game, which, like, that's a huge number in any game, let alone when you go then to take on bigger and better opposition in France, you won't get away with it.
And I guess you can put some of that down to the fact that, well, 7 changes made before the game, and then you lose Marley Packer, the captain, you lose Hannah Bottoman. But Maggie, how much credit should Ireland take from that?
Should take a lot. I mean, look, the scoreline doesn't look great, but I mean, we talked at the start of the show about, you know, Ireland needing to improve their defence. They missed 37 tackles last weekend. In the first half, they ended up 43 tackles. But if you think about this Ireland side, we wanted to see some good, quick wins, and I think we started to see that. They did some really good bits and played well in patches. Look, they really stretched England a few times. They forced England having to play out of their 22. They asked England questions, which they didn't really do, I feel, in the last 3 rounds against other teams. So I do feel like this Ireland side is showing some improvements. I mean, you asked me that at half-time, what improvements have we seen from Ireland? And I think we're starting to see a little bit. You know, when the opportunities are on, they are playing, they're challenging England, but at the same time, they're probably not executing or I guess, seeing off those opportunities when they come.
Yeah, they just turned the pressure valve up a little bit in that second half. Some really nice kicks through that we saw defensively, just hustling around that breakdown. You know, not making anything easy for England. And, you know, the work rate, you don't need to be a good rugby player to work really hard, get in the passing channels and keep hustling around the ball. So I think, you know, there's so much that Ireland can take away from this game, second half especially. And, you know, as we've already spoken about, England will have lots to look at.
Yeah, it was a few of those Ireland players at the end there were very pink cheeks because, boy, have they worked hard, and it shows how hard they've worked by the scoreline. That we have to remember, 69-0 at Welford Road last year, 48-0 this year. I think it's just a shame Ireland didn't get over the try line or get points on the board. And it took, didn't it, Maggie? It took half an hour for England to get over that line in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking at these amazing clips about what Ireland did against England, you know, and we must not take this away from Ireland in the fact that England are used to scoring over 50 points in games. You know, on average, they'll score 10 to 12 tries. And this Ireland side, throughout the week, everyone's saying it's going to be a cricket score, they shouldn't play in this match. But, wow, they turned up today, and that second half in particular, that's when they turned up. Like you've already touched on, I wish the scoreline probably reflected that, but I feel really we should, take our hats off to Ireland, and I'm seriously looking forward to seeing what they do against Scotland next weekend.
When you look at these two teams and you consider England have been professional for 5 years, this is their 5th year, Ireland, 1st year. Is that good enough from an England team?
I don't know if I'm going to answer the question because Emily's still in the setup, so she can't say anything negative about England. But look, I think for this England side, they are professional. They've been professional for a very long time. There has been some changes, obviously, for this match. So it wasn't going to be a perfect performance. I don't think any of us were expecting a perfect performance.
But after the 3 performances they've put down so far, I was expecting more from England than we saw today. And credit to Ireland, who frustrated them, but also England, just their level seemed to drop off today, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it does make a difference when you lose your captain. That's significant. You lose a key influential player like Bottoman. I also think, is there an element of, during the week, England's been listening to all these comments about, how, I guess, poor Ireland might be, and they almost rested on their laurels a little bit. And you felt that in the second half, it almost felt like they didn't have a plan B. What happens if you can't actually run through them? How do you try and play around them? And so, to an extent, you almost feel like for England, it should have been a better game. And it's I'm happy to say it was a scrappy second half, and England probably should have been much better than that. Well,
as I mentioned, it took half an hour, Emily, for England to score in that second. Because we were thinking, are they going to score? Are they going to score? Eventually, Amber Reid got over and England were back on track, weren't they, in that second half?
Yeah, they weathered that storm in that first sort of half an hour after the second half had started. But again, it's kind of England going back to basics, really good physical up-front play, direct. That's probably what England needs to go back to a little bit. Just be more direct, take it forward first. Amber Reid coming on, taking the captaincy on as well once Zoe Allcroft had left the field. Again, just direct. It's really, really simple stuff from England in the air. Claudia MacDonald does a brilliant job to stay in on those edges, and that's probably the bit they just didn't get the consistency of. They didn't keep the ball for long enough, either an error or being pushed into touch, etc. So this was kind of the 101 of England. Really strong set-piece play from the off, and again for this second try in that second half as well. It was back to basics, and simplicity is the thing you need in rugby games.
And it's good to see Matthews go over for her first try. I mean, she just come back from injury from last weekend, and we probably hadn't seen much of her during the game, but to see her go over again, this is what Emily's highlighting, the basics. Being able to commit Irish defenders to the breakdown, almost committing them to a ball carrier. So you saw there, Sadia had 3 players on her, and then there's that lovely, beautiful offload to fix Matthews in. And then Matthews' second try, I mean, this is a beauty of scrummaging. If Graham Smith, our former England coach, is watching, he'll probably say that was a very good scrum. But it's the work from the front row to be able to keep Ireland going backwards, and then the control of Matthews at the back of the scrum, which is not an easy thing to do. Sarah Hunter will probably tell you that. She did so well to keep the hold of the ball to get that try.
I want to mention leadership, actually, because Sarah Hunter was obviously commentating here today. England captain of great renown is gone, retired. And then Marley Packer's taken over the captaincy. She goes off injured. So then Zoe Allcroft's captain. Then she goes off, perhaps potentially keeping her fit for next week in the big game against France. And so Amber Reid is captain. So in that instance, when it's not going well, how do you regroup, and who's in charge?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Isn't it not lines of communication just get a bit fudged?
Yeah, I mean, England has a leadership group, so there's more than just one person as part of that leadership group. There's the line-out callers, there's the key decision makers. Holly Aitchison would have been part of that. Mo Hunt would have been part of that, certainly for this game, and then obviously Amber Reid coming on as well. So there's well kind of looked after channels of leadership in terms of that. So it's never down to that one person on the field with the armband as such. So it's something we need to keep developing, certainly, and develop those leaders. But there's no doubt a big reshuffle that had to happen when all those changes happened.
England are also very good at having these what-ifs. Emily, we know when a player goes down, if Marley goes down, who's the next person to step in and take on that leadership role? And England's very good at that. So they almost don't look around for new leaders. We all just step up to the plate, really. And you can see that when each captain went down, I mean, at one stage I thought, who else wants to be captain? But it's good to see that England has that depth of leaders, where I feel like in the past, in other World Cups where England have lost, they hadn't had many leaders to look to. But it's in a way probably a good thing that England have, a bunch of players that have that leadership experience at club level as well as international.
If Marley Packer's not fit next week, who's captain against France?
I'd say Zoe Aldcroft.
Zoe Aldcroft, she gets the vote. Was World Player of the Year, wasn't she? She knows her onions, doesn't she? Well, as we mentioned right throughout this show, we saw Mo Hunt back for the first time since she was overlooked for England's World Cup squad. She's talking to Jenny.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Yes, now joined by Natasha Mo Hunt. I mean, everyone knows you as Mo, we have to say that. But back in a number 9 jersey, just how good did that feel? To be honest, it's a bit bittersweet at the moment. Just very frustrated with how we went about it. Like, the ball wasn't clean. Ireland did a real job on us, but I'm so proud to be back out there with the girls. Like, it's always an honour to pull on this shirt, and I think we hold ourselves in such high regard that when we put in performances like that, we still come off a little bit frustrated. But full credit to Ireland today.
Oh, Mo, it was brilliant to see you out there again. And I was actually going to ask a similar question, but in terms of you personally, how does it feel to be back in the team environment and, back playing Ireland?
Yeah, I'm buzzing to be back in the shirt. Like, it means so much to me to play for my country. I think, same as everyone, it means so much to pull on the shirt. And I know that Irish girls are proud to do it as well, but as are we as English, we like pulling on the rose and being in that dressing room. You know what it's like. There's no feeling like it. So very, very fortunate to get another shot. Mo, in terms of next week as well, I mean, you're four matches down, 4 bonus point victories. Next week is the title decider. It's huge. Just what can you improve on from today? Because as you say, you were a bit frustrated with that performance. Yeah, I think for us it's just ending on our terms, so that breakdown was an absolute mess for us today. It made my job really difficult, it made the speed of ball quite difficult, and that's one thing that we really want to drive as our game plan, like in terms of just get the ball, get it away, and play on top of teams. So that's definitely something we'll be looking at, but there's loads of positives. Like, we were just a little bit loose when we came out wide, we didn't quite finish with the ball and that sort of thing, so it's really easy fixes for us. It's just making sure that we all do it at the same time when we're playing on this pitch. Certainly. Well, thanks very much for your time. Well done today. Good luck next week. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, look, she's a perfectionist, isn't she? Not surprised there's a little bit of frustration in the England camp. There you go. That's the table as it stands for this TikTok Women's Six Nations. This is penultimate round, remember, and there, look, England sitting there. Perfect score, 4 from 4, and bonus points to match as well. And of course, later on today, it's got Scotland against Italy. See if Scotland can bounce off the bottom there. And tomorrow, it's France against Wales. England have laid down the gauntlet. Can France match them and go 4 from 4 as well to set up that winner-takes-all Grand Slam at Twickenham next weekend? Now, we can't be too down on England here, actually. We, because they set such high standards all the time, we're almost looking to pick holes at times. But they were pretty good in that first 40, weren't they? And we saw some really nice tries, actually, Emily.
Yeah, they were really good. And, we've spoken a lot about the width that they're trying to now put on the ball, etc. But, sometimes it's down to the hard stuff initially. And again, just an abundance of big physical carriers that England have through the middle to make those dents, constantly making the defenders question where it is they're going. And then it's just, you get yourself an opportunity like this where it's a really simple finish. Everybody understands their role, fix and give. Sarah Beckett in at the corner, I'm sure she'll be loving those sorts of tries out on the wing. But yeah, it's the build-up play from England that was particularly impressive in that first half. As I said, the balance between going through and then taking the opportunity to go wide, and no one better than Holly Aitchison to pick off those spaces, understand where defenders have gone and where England attackers are still lay, and Tatiana Hurd again on that outside, an easy score for her.
I think what I really liked about the first half is England's ambition to want to attack and to go wide. I mean, the Aitchison, she's got such a beautiful left-hand, right-hand pass, and she can miss 3 or 4 players out. But England have such variety in the way they play. So again, they have their forwards like Beckett, who deserved player of the match today, who can cut those lines, look for those offloads, and then you've got people on left or right shoulders to still get involved. So, England are starting to show real variety in the way they play. They did that in the first half. Second half probably lacked that a little bit, but at least they started with that ambition to want to go wide, to want to attack the fringes, and utilise all players, forwards and backs involved in scoring those team tries.
Yeah, because you've got to remember that England were criticised a little bit at the World Cup for being a bit one-dimensional, and the fact that they wanted to just always bring out that rolling maul, which is terribly effective. And actually, in this in the first half, they went back to that because it served them so well previously. We saw a little bit of that, didn't we, towards the end of that first half.
Yeah, I mean, look, when things aren't going so well, as Emily knows, you have to revert back to type. And what are England's main strength? Actually keeping it, tucking the ball under the jumper and focusing on just setting up that driving maul. And then that's where they get most of their, I guess, their benefits, really, because they've got players who can do that for them. So, yeah, I think for me, England just need to focus on, you know, their strengths.
Yeah, so that was Packer and tries for Packer and Talling, Emily. We saw England going back to just playing a slightly tighter game.
Yeah, definitely. And as Maggie says, you know, when you have such a strength in a certain area, you have to use it, and absolutely, why not? And it's, you know, it's when you get those really tough tests that, you know, when your strengths come to the fore, and you have to be able to use them. But, you know, we saw this try at half-time. Marley Packer, we hope, as I said at half-time, we hope she's all right and we hope it's not too serious, but just cutting that line against the grain. She's never afraid to come on one of those big, hard lines, testing that bodyguard area around the breakdown. So powerful, and her link play is really impressive. That's the sort of thing that's come on really well for someone like a Marley Packer. And this is the bit that England have got to continue working with, just reading that defensive situation. Are the defenders coming hard? Are they drifting off? Which way are their hips pointing? How can I get a weak shoulder? How can I continue to make ground? Because when England are good, it's because they're making constant indents, and then it's made a lot easier. The defence are on the back foot, they're scrambling, and so just a real big focus for England. But as you said, one of their biggest weapons has been, and probably always will be, is that driving maul.
And Talling coming on, you know, first touch of the ball, scoring a try. Again, it's like we said, it's reverting back to what your strengths are, and England did that very well in the first half.
If Mo
Farah, yeah, we love him. He might play next weekend.
Where did that come from? If Marley Packer is not available next week, she's such a talisman, isn't she, for this team? So, I mean, how big a loss would she be?
I think she'll be a significant loss because, as Emily knows, she galvanises this England side. She very much epitomises the way England want to play, you know, aggressive, take the ball to the line, you know, really put your opposition team under pressure. So losing her will be significant, but the good thing about England, they have depth. You know, Sadia Kabeya's playing incredibly well in that back row. Matthews is starting to come into her own now, come back from injury. And then you've got Beckett, I mean, player of the match today. Again, she's come back from injury. So the good thing about England, they have the depth and they can fill those positions, and they have leaders as well. So, but you still don't want to lose Marley Packer, because bless her, she would have been looking forward to that France game in front of, over 50,000 people, hopefully. So I do feel for her if she is not available for that game.
I bet Mo Farah would probably be quite good on a wing, don't you think? I can't see him playing.
I won't pass him the ball, though, I'll be honest. Let him run.
We've been waiting to hear from England's head coach. We can now. It's Simon Middleton.
Simon, congratulations on the victory. 8 tries, but a bit of an interesting match, and some injury woes for you there as well. Marley Packer, Hannah Bottom, and what do you make of it?
Yeah, you know, both of them picked injuries up quite early in the game, and we got them off the pitch. We were lucky in so much that we were in a pretty good position at that point. And I think the medics made a great decision to get them off the field as soon as possible, so they could start, you know, getting a look at them and not taking the risk of making it worse. So we've just got to assess them and see where they're at.
Simon Middleton, next week, England versus France, Twickenham Stadium, sold out crowd. Your last game as head coach. What's going through your head at the moment?
Well,
are there going to be tears?
I'll tell you what's going through my head at the moment. I hope Marley and Bots are all right. No, listen, it's going to be a great occasion, and you know, and I'm really fortunate that I get to experience another great game like that. But it'll only be great if we get the performance we want and we get the result we want. And you know, I think everybody's put a massive amount of effort into getting the crowd into the stadium, and you know, it's a unique, you know, first standalone game for us. It's another benchmark moment, and we just hope for a really good performance and a really good game for everybody who comes along and everybody who watches on TV. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of work to do this week, both in terms of fixing people up and fixing our team up a little bit in terms of how we play, but we'll be ready.
I just want to say a personal, it's been a privilege to play against you when you're coaching England. A personal congratulations and a personal thank you for all you've done in the women's game in England, because what it's done globally is it's increased high performance overall. So just a personal thank you. Updated level of Gareth Margaret from me.
Oh, mate, I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. That means a lot. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Simon. All the best next week, and enjoy it. Don't forget to do that.
Is he an emotional man, Emily?
He can be. He can be. He's incredibly emotionally driven, obviously playing the game and coaching the game and getting stuck in that sense. But I think there might be a few emotions flying around next weekend, definitely.
I can well imagine. It's the big one then next weekend, Maggie. England against France. Obviously, France have yet to play Wales. They play this afternoon. It's on the iPlayer. As it stands, where do you think that's looking?
Well, if England have got all their players fit, then it will hopefully be a competitive match. But do you know what? It's just going to be exciting. I'm just looking forward to the two best teams in the Six Nations really going toe-to-toe.
Yeah, it's the big one. We can't wait.
I'm going straight to the top. I never wait, never stop. I keep on breaking the locks. You know I'm running it.
The English juggernaut continues to roll. They are rampant.
Pauline Bourdon is over. She is world class right now.
You know I'm running it.
And we're going to have the big one next weekend at Twickenham. Grand Slam decider. It's not to be missed. See you then. Bye for now.
Well, the time for talk is over. The stretch really being put on the green shirts. Beckett with the touchdown in the corner. It's still Tatiana Hurd. She scored in every game. It has been a very one-sided first half of rugby. They'd already eased away, but they found a little bit of rhythm in this last 10 minutes. Try number 8, and Alex Matthews scores again.
From fraudsters to spy scandals and even a kidnapping